going? Good deal. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Soul Killer's what we need, and Makoshi's how we grab it.
Hello and welcome to Core. This is Core. I almost said Corpo. That'd have been funny. I really did. My brain hung up on Core and I almost said Corpo. But we were just talking about Corpo stuff, and we'll get to why here soon because there's big stuff coming up for all you cyberpunk fans. This is an episode of Core, and it is September 21st, 2023. I'm Scott with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger. And today, lots of stuff in the world of video games. We'll get to it all, but I would like to share a sad tale that happened just today. Was hanging out with the little grandkid. All right. He's 4 now, and he's starting to really get into Pokemon and Mario and kind of the Nintendo pantheon of characters. So I went out and got him. They have these mystery grab bags where you buy one, you're not sure which one you're going to get. It's pretty common with lots of things, but it's in a bag that's just nondescript, except you know that in there is one of like 7 different Kirby's. All right. Yeah. So one of them he's going like, ah, another one his mouth's open, one's closed, the other one he's wearing something. So one was just asleep with a little hat on or whatever. And I know he loves Kirby, so I thought I'm going to get that. And then when I see him today, I'm going to give him this little gift, and it'll be this cool moment of like, yeah, he gives me cool gifts, right? So I'm making points and all that. And trying to raise him on, some cool video game concept. So I go grab one, $7 for this thing, $6.50, something like that.
Yeah.
And I get it back, and I show it to him, and he says, no way, oh, cool. And he goes to open it. And the first thing that hits me, I was a little sad, is that it is the sleeping one where Kirby's asleep. It's the most boring one in there. I kind of had hoped it was one of these more exciting ones. Fine, though. It's fine, whatever. We can deal with it. Here's the part that sucks. We go over to my sister-in-law's, and they have chickens in the backyard in a pen. And he decides he wants to go over there and mess around with the chickens, which is fine. So he's going to take carrots out there. Chickens love little bits of carrot. So he's going out there with some carrots and going to feed these chickens. Well, I thought everything was fine. I'm doing stuff inside. Later on, I go check on what's going on. And he went out there with Kirby. And this thing's made of, I'm trying to think of what to compare it to, like foam. I don't even know what to compare it to. It's really easily torn up foam if you want to tear it up. It's like compression molded foam. And it makes it squishy, and that's cool, but I think a little too it's not very resilient if you don't want to take good care of it. He thought that this would be a perfect little treat for a chicken. So he's peeling. No. He'd take off like one of his feet, little red Kirby feet, and feed it to the chicken, and then a little other piece, give it to the chicken. And so he's just picking it apart like a hunk of like an end of a bread loaf, and he's just slowly taking these pieces of Kirby and throwing it in there. And at first I was like, "Oh no, bud. Oh well, okay, big deal. It's $7. He doesn't know any better. It's all fine." I'm a little worried about the chickens, but beyond that, because they ate some of it. Beyond that, I realized this might be the perfect death for Kirby because that bastard's always eating everything else. He would without any remorse.
Serves him right.
Yeah, he would suck that chicken in, take the chicken's powers, and then have a chicken hat at the expense of a now dead chicken. So this is turnabout fair play business to me, and I wasn't that upset about it after that.
I like that you approached the situation like Worf.
Yeah.
You looked at him and you were like, this is a good death.
Yeah, I didn't think of that at the time, but I kind of was doing that. And he was real sad at first. He thought I was going to be mad or something. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's fine. But I tried to explain that you don't want to give all your toys to the chickens. That seems like a bad idea.
At least he's sharing. It's nice.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
Being nice, I guess. You want to build on the positives there.
Yeah, but I thought of John because of all his Transformer stuff, and I was thinking, how long till Alexander tries to put one in a frying pan that's already got eggs in it or something? Or
I think that's it's a little. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know, man. Has he done? He probably hasn't done any of that yet, but maybe he would.
It's one of those things where you have your personal toy collection and they ruin it. You're like,
Yeah, he knows to stay away in general from Dad's stuff. He's weirdly pretty good at it. Although having boundaries on my things has had a weird reverse effect where it's like the stuff in here he's got a lot of respect for. Like he will not touch it. he will look at it, he'll point and ask, but he won't touch it on his own.
Mhm.
But the other side of that, because that's wonderful, is that it told him, okay, that's the stuff that's off limits. Everything else is fair game.
Mm. Mm.
So he's very respectful of these things.
Mm.
Anything else that comes into his household, it's like, well, I'm going to play with that. It's just as much mine as it is yours. It's not dad's.
Right.
So we're going to play with that.
Right. Kind of sucks though, just because, we all, it's fine. It's not like we're going to hold these kids, put them in jail or timeout for the next 10 years of their life because they tore up a doll or broke a transformer or something.
Yeah.
But it still sucks
It
because, we're kids and at heart, we want our stuff to last. And it's fine. But technically, this was his. So it wasn't like he was ruining some of mine. I just had given it to him like literally 30 minutes prior to its complete disintegration. Here you go, chat. Here's a picture of some of these. You can get these little guys, the little mystery
ended
guys.
Poor Kirby.
Yeah, it was a real bummer. But also, those Kirby pack things are made terribly. They're really easy to tear apart. They're not great. So I guess
He's supposed to be a durable character too.
And he's not in this form. He's smushy and Oh, here they are. They're really, you can tear them.
Maybe you can sue for false advertising then.
Yeah, I don't like it. It bothered me. Also, this one where he's sleeping. You see the sleeping one I had. It looks like he has boobs. Look at that right there in the front.
It does.
Yeah.
It kind of does. It kind of looks like he's leaning over to show you and trying to make a kissy face.
A little cleavage business going on. Stripper stuff. So they've got more problems.
I can't unsee it now.
It's a real weird version of the Rorschach test anyway.
Yeah. You don't get this one in college.
Do you see a sleeping Kirby or a sexy Kirby?
What if they still do that? Do you think they still do that? What's this shape? And you say, oh, it's like a butterfly all spread out or whatever. Do you think they still?
I don't know. I think that was debunked, right?
I think feels like
I heard it was. I don't know if that always stops people.
Oh, that's a fair point. I just remember Venkman doing it and thinking that's how you get girls because I was young and stupid, right? Because remember that? He was preying on some college-age girl. While he's Mr. Professor.
With the card for psychic power.
Yeah.
And
not cool.
Shocking the guy. You know what is sad is how long it took me to realize what was going on in that scene. Because as a kid, I was just like, it's so funny. He just shocks the hell out of this guy. Yeah. What a blast this scene is.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I was much, much older than I should have been, that I went, oh, he's trying to get with a girl.
Yeah, and not just a girl, but a girl that's half his age at best. She's 18 or something.
Yep.
And he's pushing 40. It's like, what are you doing? What are we up to here? Well, anyway, so I guess the lesson is let kids do what they're going to do. Chickens are dicks, and don't buy Kirby toys because they're made out of trash. All right? So don't do it.
Absolutely. Obvious lessons.
Obvious lessons, everyone. We got some big news to share this week. It's a big leaky week for our friends at Microsoft. The Xbox Microsoft accidental leaks were a lot of stuff. Everything in it, not all of it, but most of it is about 3 years old. And there's a lot of misconception around these things as well. We'll talk about some of that. Let's hit maybe the big points first, like there's a new console design and controller design coming as a mid-generation refresh, if you want to call it that. Next year, 2024 is when it's said to be happening. And it's essentially a Series X refresh. It's rounded this time, is got a bigger 2 terabyte hard drive in it, no optical disc, and a controller that gets it closer in line with what the PS5 controller does in terms of like haptic feedback and a more granular sort of rumble experience and that sort of thing. And also some strange language on the marketing.
This will be big for Bo, so I want to point it out. Quieter buttons and sticks.
Yeah. You like that, Bo?
Oh shit! I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're in.
Yeah, no.
Now you're
so
all in.
They knew that the. It's been a while since I haven't used my controller to play games in a while. It's like it almost feels like a distant memory. But you're right. I think I did complain about I felt it was sticky and loud.
When is the last time you used a controller? Has it been that long?
Well, I mostly use the Xbox to watch TV.
Yeah.
And then when my mom moved in, I gave her my TV and Xbox so she could have a nice viewing experience, but it's in her room, her area, so I don't it's like it's like I don't have an Xbox anymore. It's my mom's.
It's your mom's. Yeah.
If we're gonna watch some TV together, then maybe I can pick what show, and that's the extent I use my Xbox. She's like, take it anytime you need it, and I'm like, it's okay. I've got my PC, and
Sure. Yeah.
But
you're
I
all
may
right.
have to get a PlayStation 5. Just that may actually still happen.
Is that because of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
Yeah,
deal?
because of Rebirth, because of one stupid effing exclusive.
Yeah,
I saw
but
some new footage, and I'm like, I don't know if I can wait a year.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. It's not in the news, so maybe worth mentioning here. A lot of people did do a preview of the new Final Fantasy Rebirth, and it looks good.
it looks
very
really good. Yeah. They added a bunch. I just thought it'd be a continuation and wouldn't bell and whistle it much, but they're talking like 100 hours of completionist content in there. It's a big game. And this is just the second in a series of 3. Wasn't that the original plan?
Yeah, that's
So-
what they're doing.
Probably benefiting a little bit from laying the groundwork, like making it 3 games. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like they got Cloud going, huh? Like they already have that animation. So they don't need to remocap a whole bunch
No.
of stuff. You know,
That's true. I guess so. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that too. And I wondered when I saw the latest stuff on it and all the extra footage, I went, I'll bet Bo's gonna. There's like crafting in it, and more than just sticking magic gems in your sword. It's like more than that. So I don't know. Looks good.
Yeah.
Customized chocobo armor, like in depth.
Segues.
Oh, I
All,
like
all my
that.
favorite games is coming up are going to have segues.
Yeah.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, segues.
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, segues.
Yeah.
I'm getting segues everywhere.
Which I thought is a little weird. We've never really truly embraced segways as a mode of transportation like they wanted us to. It kind of was just made fun of and was mall cops and that sort of kind of thing. And now suddenly these video games are showcasing Segway-like devices, and I'm like, okay, did the video game world not get the memo that those were dumb? I guess not.
I think the newer generation's embracing it because it's not segues, but my mom even owns one and she used it today. Is the electric scooters.
People like those, yeah.
Well, I had one and my mom had one. I broke mine because I'm a little too heavy for it. So I got to work on losing some weight next month. It's a little embarrassing.
Okay, all right.
I popped the tire just 2 feet from my house.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, and I was like, God, I knew I was a little over the kilo limit. And I was like, gosh dang it. Nothing makes you feel fatter than breaking your damn electric scooter 2 feet from your house.
It seems like it should carry more than. I mean, you're not that big of a guy. You're just,
I'm heavy enough. It's time to lose some poundage here. And yeah.
Well, I'm doing the
I mean,
same,
I
so.
carry it well. I think I get that reaction all the time. So I know, like, whatever that means, whether it's just my bones are actually heavy
Yeah.
or something, I don't know. But
Yeah, maybe you got big, thick, dense femurs or something, Like not
maybe
that
my balls are really heavy.
It's your
I don't know.
balls.
It's just,
Definitely your
steel
giant,
balls.
heavy balls. Yeah,
I
that's
gotta lose 10 pounds all in the ball.
If I don't get these balls down, you got to take steroids. They'll shrink right up. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to my doctor. He's like, "Can you shave some circumference off these?" please?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Why did
Oh,
I make it weird? Anyways, but
Yeah, that game looks
yeah,
great.
But scooters are great and segways are great. Final Fantasy VII's great. Like
Yeah.
a Dragon's great. The Xbox controller could use some improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. All these things are true. I really like my Xbox controllers, but I agree with the
They're great.
the
I don't
quietness.
really have a harsh criticism. It's just the difference.
They're just durable as hell is why I like them.
I
They're
guess
just,
Yeah,
I have a favorite toy. It's right here.
yeah.
This is my go-to lovely controller.
For those
I
at
got a
home.
new one not long ago. I
Oh,
really
look
like
at
the
that.
color of it. Look at that.
Yeah, I
Look
like
at that one right there. That's great.
Mine are
I
all
love
in the
it.
other room.
This controller is like a baseball mitt, right? Like the reason I like it, it's worn in, it's crooked in all the ways I understand.
In all the ways you understand.
You know what I mean?
Like a
Like,
good politician, it's crooked in all the ways I understand.
yeah, you went to politician. I kind of was thinking of making a penis joke, but yeah.
Oh.
Because as much
okay,
as
yeah.
I like my PS5 controllers, and I do, I think they're really incredible tech in these things. They feel flimsy compared to the work truck that is a Xbox controller.
I'm a huge fan of the PlayStation 5 controller in general. I
Right.
think the technology in it is incredible. I think you play the what's the game? Astro's Playlab, is that it? That game is an amazing showcase for that controller. And I'm like, oh, all controllers should be like this. But Final Fantasy 16 proved to me that there is still room for improvement on the PS5 controller.
Yeah.
I eventually got real sick of using that controller. There's
Yeah.
an ergonomic thing that doesn't work with my hands.
Yeah, I think it depends
So-
on your hands. You're gonna have different mileage, but I have a similar issue with it from long-term use. In fact, playing that game, I got crampy. Maybe it's because the action in that game's so crazy. I don't know, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's fine. There's a workhorse quality to the Xbox controllers, but there's also kind of a dumb quality to them because they're not really doing anything fancy. They haven't really evolved. I respect Sony's desire to make new shit happen, and so whatever they do here, if they're going to do it at Microsoft, and that's a big if. These are things, again, 3 years ago, nobody knows, none of this confirmed. There's some renders and some stuff in the material, so maybe it'll happen. But
You could probably do 6 buttons, right? We know where the 4 buttons are.
yeah.
I mean, we're probably ready for 6, right?
think we're ready
The
for
world is
6?
Ready for 6? Not just us.
ready for 6.
I mean, Sega tried
Sega
it.
did it.
They had it.
Yeah.
They had a 6-button controller on the Genesis. You had to buy it extra though, or the Sega Saturn had 6 buttons. So did the.
And then they tried to do that retro Genesis with only the 3 buttons for America, and I'm like, no, thank you. That is not the controller I know.
Well,
I
the
paid
good
extra.
news, but here's the good news, John. That I bought that one. I have it. It has just the 3, but all the games included in that first run were 3-button games specifically designed for the Sega or the Genesis 2 Mega Drive 2 thing that came out this year. Is a whole nother slew of games, and that one is the 6-button controller plus the newer looking Genesis design, the one they shrunk it up. So you could get that one instead, and you'd have all your buttons that you want.
I think what people need to do, everybody who wants to make a game system needs to go out and look up the Sega CDX and
Best
make
ever.
another console like it, because it's the greatest video game console that was ever made.
I love the random happenstance that is John and Scott had a CDX, and why did we
I know,
both get that
not
thing?
many people did, but I loved the CDX
I
so
did too.
much.
I'm so mad
What a
for selling it.
beautiful device that was.
I sold it for $250 about 6 years after I bought it because we'd moved on to new consoles and stuff,
Yeah.
and I regret it so much. I should have kept it. I should have it now. It was just such a great relic of that time.
Yeah, it'll be a great collector's piece given how unusual it was.
Yeah, and they're not
And
cheap
it was
on
so
eBay.
it made going over to your friend that had like the old school Genesis and the CD adapter plugged in, and you're like, this looks like you bought a janky transformer.
Yeah.
It looks stupid as hell. And they're like, look, I'm gonna put the 32X in it. And I'm like, this is ugly. It's not good. What an awful thing this is. And then you go home and you just see. I feel like it's the video game equivalent of what car people feel when they have a really expensive, nice car.
Mm.
Like, I think that's how I felt about the CDX. You watch other people with their problems, and you're
Yeah.
like, these aren't my problems. I'm above this.
Yeah. I was gonna try to find a photo. Oh, here you go, chat. Sorry, that took so long. This is a photo of the proposed change, or what may be a change. Really, it is just a cylindrical take on the current design instead of being squared off. It's still black. It's still has that.
It kind of looks like a virtual assistant.
A
It
little
feels like I
bit.
should be able to
Yeah.
go Phil Spencer, and it goes. "Ba-ding."
Oh man, since they got rid of Cortana as a voice thing, they should totally replace that with Phil Spencer and have it be his voice. I love that idea. The paperwork that came with this is pretty stupid though, because the proposal had some this is clearly not done, because the subtitle of it says, this is Project Brooklyn, by the way. It was supposedly called Xbox Series X refresh, and then below it, the most powerful Xbox ever, now adorably all digital, it says. Well, that ruffled some feathers because
Yeah, well, nobody likes when you talk about how you removed a feature like you've invented something.
yeah, people hate that. But again, these were documents that weren't supposed to be public. So on the one hand, and someone's screwing around with the word adorably.
Oh yeah, that's got to go through rounds of revisions. Somebody probably catch that, I would hope.
Oh, I would assume so. I mean, of course they would. And again, this stuff was never meant for public consumption. So, content
There's
from
that being shills again. Xbox would never do anything
Oh, is
wrong.
that where they think we're shilling? I mean, I do the same thing with Sony.
I'm adding the YouTube commenter who's about to type something in right now. It's not shilling.
This is just corporate. This is corporate stuff, man. I would say the same thing for Sony. You have ideas and thoughts and comments and emails and drawings and patents that you're not going to submit and all this stuff, and you have that laying around, and you do some and you don't do others. Like, this is work. I don't know why this is so shocking to people, and that's why I really appreciated this Jez Gordon guy on Twitter. He went through all of this and debunked a few things. So let's talk about the next one. There was talk back then that Phil Spencer in particular, but Xbox in general, wanted to buy Nintendo. And they were seriously wanting to do it. And if you look at the numbers, Xbox made more money than Nintendo. Like last year, their own reporting versus Nintendo's own reporting. They made more money than them. I think it was 15 billion versus 11 or something for Nintendo. That doesn't say anything about number of units sold or any of that. We're just talking about raw revenue. A big part of that's Game Pass. Like, that's a whole other conversation. But the point is, you could see why Phil Spencer, lifelong gamer, who might get a little hay up his bum and go, you know what we ought to do? Let's go for Nintendo. Well, they didn't, and they won't. But the way this guy puts it was, Phil musing on Nintendo was aspirational corpo speak, gently explaining why it was a bad idea without alienating the commenter. I mean, I don't know. I think people are making a lot of hay about that for no good reason. First of all, them bouncing around the idea, I think, is a normal thing for companies to do. You're never going to see that for most of the time. This time it got leaked, so now you're seeing it. But they were never going to buy Nintendo. Like, whether he wanted to or not, Nintendo isn't for sale. So
if there was a serious play, you'd have found out about it, right? Like,
who
of course.
here on this podcast right now would like to buy Nintendo?
I would like to buy Nintendo. You know who else would? Sony would like to buy
I would
Nintendo.
like to buy Nintendo.
I'd buy that
Microsoft,
for $1.
Sony.
Yeah,
you know
I mean,
who
if it's
else?
$1, I'll buy it twice.
Tencent would like to buy Nintendo. They'd do that in a heartbeat over at Tencent. They buy everything they can. Hell, that Embracer Group, even though they're in the shitter right now, would probably try to buy Nintendo if they had the option to do it.
Oh, that'd save them for sure.
I just don't think there's a lot of hay. And again, call me
it's
corporate apologist or anything, but this is just people going, I want to buy a thing, and they didn't.
You already said it, but Corpo Bo in the house, it's pretty normal to do what if scenarios.
Right.
Like, you have people in your company that are just like, hey, what if we did this? Give me a projection.
Right.
Presentation in 2 weeks.
Right.
Or, you know
And
what I
there are
mean?
people out there that are like, but it would have been terrible if it happened. Okay, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, we got to go off of what happened. And what happened is there were internal emails that, hey, aspirationally, this would be cool. That's it. That's what we're judging. The whole monopoly, like, what if Microsoft has a monopoly on the industry? I agree. That would be a really bad thing, but that's not what we're talking about.
No.
And the fact that you want that to be what we're talking about kind of hints at an agenda.
Yeah, that says more
Every
about
company
people
does
than me.
this, though.
Yeah.
Like, every company does this with their competitors. Who can we absorb? Who can't we absorb? Pros, cons. What would it take? Like,
Right.
I'm just...
And they don't just think these things. They talk about them in meetings. They send emails. They do memos. They have.
I assume it's like a full-time position in the corporate structure. I don't
I don't know.
know
Like,
if that's what consulting is. I'm sure it falls under consulting.
I guess what I was annoyed with all week is everybody was acting like there was some weird smoking guns, and I'm like, where? These are
everyone
like
has a different.
these are smoking Nerf darts or something. It's barely anything. It really all it is it's embarrassing for them that their processes and methods and plans and hopes were just aired publicly. That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the biggest smoking gun is that they uploaded all their private documents to a public site.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that.
I don't think it's that bad. I think what I would find embarrassing if my public document, like, I like to write really gross messages to Crofton, hoping he's in a meeting.
Yeah.
So he has to read, like, he'll be in a meeting, it's something serious, and I'm like, I'll write like, I bet you'd really, well, I can't even say it. I just think of the grossest thing. Lots of stuff. I just think of something really like gross that'll make you react, like something you really don't want to do, maybe that would make you uncomfortable or something.
I do this.
I try to write that in all seriousness, hoping the Slack message pops up on his phone. He looks down at his phone. And he just, sees a picture of a penis or something. Like the best thing I wouldn't want that becoming public.
Penis or
so like I don't send dick pics, but I write graphic things to Crofton in order for him to read it in the middle of a meeting, so that he has to start laughing uncontrollably and have to make something up to explain it because the truth would be way too embarrassing to explain.
Yeah. No, I
We
do
do
this with
other.
Dunaway on Discord every day. We say something gross and rude to each other to make each other laugh. If anyone got a hold of that without context, they would be like, "What are you two doing?"
It's only something you can do with people that you're really good friends with.
There are certain people in our lives that this is 100% the relationship. They are safe relationships where you know what the other person can do. I had a friend who went through a terrible, like extremely unfortunate event in his life. Like really bad things happened to him. And he was talking it through with me and I was there for him. And at a certain point he said something to me and I went, "Oh, I'm the only sad person ever." And he started cracking up laughing because that's the relationship he and I have.
Right.
That's if somebody heard me say that to somebody who went through what he went through, they would be like, "John, you are a heartless monster human." And they'd be half right. But like, that's the relationship that he and I have. He found out that other people can see what Steam games you have and immediately wanted to start buying me every porn game on Steam just to make anybody that might check my profile think that I was downloading a ton of porn games.
Yeah.
That is the nature of this relationship that I've had since the 3rd grade.
That's a real friendship.
Like, that's how it is. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I think the big news out of this is that Microsoft uploaded their own documents to a public website. I think that one's bad. And then I also think, and this isn't even necessarily related to the documents, although it has had its side of it, Microsoft not really expecting much of a performance out of Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, the good news is
That's
on that front
also
is,
mud on the face a little bit.
It
too.
is for sure. Them essentially acknowledging, them just thinking, oh, whatever, that's a CRPG. Nobody plays those anymore. It's gonna be a small hit or whatever on PCs, and it ended up being so much more than that. But not to their credit, to the credit of everyone else or discredit, everybody underestimated. Larian themselves, the lead of Baldur's Gate 3 said, quote, "To be fair, everyone did," unquote. Yeah, everyone underestimated that game, so I don't blame him for that. I do. Oh, there's one thing people are freaking out about that this Jez guy talked about. Here it is right here. Calling Baldur's Gate 3 second run. A lot of people leaped on that, thinking that was their term for like second hand,
rate.
not good, second rate, that sort of thing. It refers to, it's a term internally that people use in the industry. It refers to the fact that it's not launching on Xbox first. It will be entering its second run when it hits Xbox. Some people, even journalists, took this to mean second rate for some reason. Yeah, that's annoying.
Second.
Yeah, and that annoyed me because I was just like, come on, guys. Just like I know we love controversy. We love it when, I don't know, any of these things happen. We love it when Nintendo F's up. We love it when Sony screws up. We love it when Microsoft flips. But this is a lot of hay out of, and I'm not saying it's not worth talking about. Here it is, but I think a part of the conversation should be just how much hay we tried to make out of a, what's the phrase? Hay out of a molehill? No, that's what is
well,
it?
it's a mountain out of a
That's a
molehill.
mountain out of a
Mountain
molehill.
out of a molehill. What's the hay one?
Always coming around here making mountain hay out of mountains.
I think it's maybe we're trying to make hay out of horses or something.
Something like, there's a phrase about hay.
No,
made
that's
so much
hay is for horses want some. That's what you're supposed to say. But
Yeah, that's not that though. I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's
I have
whatever.
heard the phrase making hay before, but I don't know if there is a second part, and I don't know the origins of it.
It's
but
like-
mountain out of a molehill is a thing.
Yeah, that is
no,
correct.
it's basically implying that something is you're feeding on
The
something.
saying
ready
is make
eaten.
hay while the sun shines, so it has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
No. It's like being a vulture on a skeleton. It's already eaten. There's nothing
Wait,
for the
what?
vulture.
Oh, right, I get it. Because they've already
Something
eaten
like
the flesh.
that. It's something like that.
Sure. Here's what I would have
No.
done if I were Microsoft. I would have had better. I would have had somebody somewhere. You have enough money to do this. Somebody somewhere really track hard these games that are hard to tell what they're going to do. Because I think that even we had a better handle here on the show about what Baldur's Gate was going to do a year before it released. We knew this was going to be gigantic. We knew it was a bright star in the sky of gamers everywhere. We were all just waiting for it to come out of early access and be available for real. I can't imagine somebody at Microsoft or anywhere couldn't have been smarter about seeing that trajectory and not tried to harness some of the good from it, or at the very least be on board with working with them early to get the console version done for their console instead of them, just letting them go off and do this Sony timed exclusive.
I saw Sven comment, I would like to speak with that analyst. It's hard to know if he misinterpreted that news as well.
Yeah.
But probably they dragged their hands.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the behind the scenes story could be. Xbox failed to pay attention to them. One of the other developers, because I followed a bunch of them because of the game, was like, we had this problem with DOS too. And I'm like, Divinity Original Sin 2 was clearly incredible. Everyone should have been knocking at your door. I still think Xbox probably dropped the ball. Not treating them with the same priority level as CD Projekt Red for
Sure.
I do
Baldur's
think
Gate
that the
3.
quote.
Yeah.
I do think the quote that everybody did is accurate because while I certainly expected it to be big, I don't think I expected it to be this big. I didn't expect it to break free of its niche. I expected it to be a damn near perfect game for what it was. I didn't expect to suddenly have people that seemed uninterested in this type of game talking about it.
I think it was the
memeing
bear
on it.
sex. I think it's
Bear sex, always bear sex. Yeah.
I think the bear sex escalated it to that level of national discussion in America about like transgenderism and keep shit out of schools and all that shit. And everyone, a lot of people got bent out of shit. Now they're putting bear sex in your video games. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people listened and went, cool. They got the reverse, that whole thing you said earlier about downvote me, thanks for the engagement. Like that's kind of same effect, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, ew, and everyone's like, you're right, ew, and then they rush off to buy the video game.
Yeah. Ooh, let me buy this game. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that for sure. So yeah, underestimated, no doubt. Everyone did though. So I don't think it's a bombshell. It's another one here about mention.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Blood from a Stone.
Oh, Blood from a Stone is what I was trying to say, but it wouldn't come out. It was mountains and hay and shit. What was wrong with me?
Well, I thought it was like hay from
mountains
a stone,
and hay.
but it was Blood from a Stone.
This is mountains and hay.
I used to think only my dad did this mixed metaphor crap. I do it all the time, and I used to make fun of him. He would say, he literally said this as straight face as you could be once. He says, look, the old saying, if you get up early in the morning, you're lots more wise or something. Like you just had it all wrong. Or
early bird gets the worm, Dad.
Yeah, and I'd go, Dad, it's this, and he'd get mad and tell me to knock it off because I was being picky or I was being semantic or whatever. Now I do it all the time. I owe him an apology. Sorry,
that's
Dad.
the curse of age. The young people come along, they're like, excuse me, it's like this, and you're like, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
get away from
I
me,
got
kid.
the syllabic intonation correct. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh, I love the term syllabic. Anyway, they also, no mention, people keep bringing this up. There was no mention of Halo in the leaks and took that to mean that Halo was doomed or dead or done or we're never talking about Halo again. There's no mention in the leaks because this is nothing. None of these leaks had anything to do with Xbox Game Studios and those games. This was 100% Bethesda side stuff, all of it. And it included some pretty crazy projections after they bought them and then pandemic happened and that changed everything. And I don't know. There's a whole lot of
apparently we're getting an Oblivion remaster is the rumor.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
Fallout 3 remaster, John? You like that game?
That I'm excited about. Fallout 3 was a mighty fine game. Hopefully they can be a little less snarky on their remade ending.
This is the Oblivion thing is a gaming journalism juggernaut though, because we got game devs versus mods because there's Sky Oblivion, which is Oblivion entirely remade in Skyrim as a mod coming out.
That's right.
And then there's first party remaster. Sure as shit, whenever those two are coming out, it's going to be a lot of newspapers sold that day.
Probably
Who's better.
Yeah.
People can
so.
recall
Especially
that,
about Bethesda.
They can also recall that, hey, remember this was the game that brought microtransactions to video games, the $3.99 horse armor, and they can bring that up again. And it would be really funny if they made a complete remake of the game, and the only DLC / buyable thing in the game was another set of horse armor. I would love that.
Oh my god,
that would be hilarious.
Yeah,
Actually,
would love it.
Hilarious,
funny.
but also there's gonna be people wanting. They're double dipping $3.99. Like it's like
only now it's $10 for horse armor.
Yeah. Like,
wait, how much was it the first time?
Again?
It might have been $10 the first time.
No, it was only. I want to say it was only like $3. It was like $3 or $4.
$5.
Was it?
Was it $3?
We can probably find out.
I don't remember.
How much was horse armor when it first came out? I remember
price
thinking it was ridiculous.
Oblivion.
It was insanely priced at the time. Now probably acceptable by
Here we go.
today's standards.
Oh, it's even less. $2.50.
It was such a lightning rod
Oh,
of
shit.
what are you doing?
The price. Who won the Price is Right here? Who got the right price?
I went over. Scott went over.
Oh, I did
Whoever
too.
said $1 got it.
Well, we didn't know what it was, so we'll just do closest. Who was closest?
Scott. I was too high.
Yeah, you were too high.
Oh,
So
Scott. Oh, Scott. Well, come on down. You're the
Oh,
I
next.
sweet.
do
This is on
think
the
that
Price is Right.
$10 would be the equivalent. Actually, hold on. What would be the price for horse armor today
to
that
do.
would set people off at the same degree that it pissed people off back then?
Okay, so 2008 versus
website,
2023.
But I don't think. Here's the problem. I think we've been so
Oh, there is a U.S.
effed
inflation
by
there's
video
one
game
here. Hang on.
companies.
Yeah, what
that
year?
I
was
don't think you
that?
can go off regular inflation.
Oh, wait.
Hang on. What year was this out?
2008.
2008. For
Mhm.
how much?
$2.50.
$2.50.
Yep.
Okay, I found a website, inflation, usinflationcalculator.com. Hopefully, there's no malware. If in 2008, enter year, I purchased an item for $2.50, then in 2023, the same item would cost, $31.
No.
Oh my gosh! Hold
No.
on. Maybe you
No,
can
no, no.
just go off of
Hold
that.
on, that is not correct. The one I'm looking at saying,
Excuse me, this is a Coin News Media Group company.
well, mine's saying $3.57 in 2023.
No, that's no way.
That's
I've
what it
seen
says.
my
How much
rent
was it talking
prices
about? Was like
did.
$1?
Yeah, but
Let me see
rent
if
prices that's not normalized inflation.
I think Bo's was too high. I think yours was too low. Although I will say
Okay,
this.
hang on, no, I think I made a mistake. Sorry, $3.57, 42%.
Okay, so same as what I said. So we both got it. John, we say
Okay,
357.
I think I accidentally typed 3,000% in one of the fields.
No, you put too much. You didn't put the right dot in it. You probably said $30, or no, you probably said, I don't know what you said.
I messed up. You could type. There's a default field that has 3,000% in it. I don't know why that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what it would increase by the metrics. But the question was, what would be the cost to cause the same level of outrage?
10 now. 10, 15.
I don't think people would get outraged for 10. I think people would find it cute.
How about 15? Will you take
I don't
15?
think they get outraged. I think Blizzard, where they charge like $20 for a head or something, like sorry, helmet.
What
I was thinking about what went in the helmet. But I think when that's what they charge for that, I think horse armor at 15, nobody bats an eye. I actually think $31, what Bo said initially,
That's
That
closer
is-
to.
that would
is-
cause some genuine
That's outrage level. Okay.
But that's Overwatch. Overwatch skins cost $30.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
For 3 pieces of horse armor, $31. Yes, that
Yeah.
would cause the same.
That would
level
cause
of
some
rage.
consternation. I think that's fair. And you're right. They already do that. But I like the idea of paying $20 for a head. You know, that's what I
For
want to do.
head, I
Yeah.
got it.
Or for a head.
A
Oh,
head.
you. Oh,
Be
never
clear.
mind. Forget
No,
it.
a head. I know I said the A quiet, and you might think I was talking about something else.
Yeah, forget all that now.
A
Right,
head.
McDonald. Jeez.
A head.
A head indeed. There's also some stuff about them
Captain
working
A-head.
on a working on a handheld. Not much there. So you can only speculate on what that might be, and it's probably more like a Game Pass type device, a lot like what Sony's doing with the Portal, I would think. But anyway, it's a fascinating bunch of leaks that are mostly hyperbole, in my opinion. But
I think there was
Mostly-
one other thing I heard.
Microsoft seems dumb for uploading it. Like, why would you do that? That's why it's not a hack; it's a leak, and I wouldn't even call it a leak. It's a mistake.
I did see someone in chat, and they've typed it like 4 times, so to avoid them having to type it a 5th, I did see someone say that the courts today admitted it was an issue on their end. That is not what I had heard, which is why we keep saying it's on Microsoft. But
Oh.
if that has changed, we don't know it yet, but you in the future do, and congratulations.
What
So,
do they do when it's the courts fault. Nothing. Still the same problem, right? I mean, we just have to
To
blame
the
the courts. Yeah.
Bring them down, Microsoft. Crush
Xbox
the
might-
judicial system of America.
Xbox might have a litigation that they can do because of potentially harmful stuff getting in the hands of the public.
Yeah.
So,
But I see, and that's where I stick with my point that there's not that much that's harmful here. So I don't even know if they'd have. much of a
well,
case.
that's the lawyer's job to invent, I guess, for
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
They
Like,
do
to
that.
make the case.
They definitely do that.
But there was one other thing I did see, and I don't know how. Again, just like the rest of the stuff in there, how much this is a victim of just hyperbole.
Yeah.
But there was a projection for sales, and Phil was asked about it, and Phil said and they looked like very positive projections about Game Pass, and he said if Game Pass did that, we'd probably close up Xbox in 2030. But then he was clarifying, like, it'd probably be like in 2027. I realize I'm telling this in a very bad way because it's been a few days since I've seen it. But just that there was discussions internally about potentially shuttering the Xbox program completely if Game Pass sales didn't meet certain metrics, which I found interesting because it sounds like they're all in on the Game Pass bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the projection, reminiscent of conversations we had about ABK and Square Enix, you might hear, oh yeah, 20 million in Game Pass sales. That sounds great. And the Microsoft Corporation's like failure, 20 million's a failure. So, no confirmation where they're actually at, but they were asked about. I think it's pertinent because they're trying to show that Xbox isn't dominant. So if they have things that show how fragile they are, that works in their favor. Like,
Sure.
yeah, you can buy ABK. You're struggling. We get it.
Phil Spencer said in a tweet or an X post.
Tweet.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
just
calling
a tweet.
I'm calling
you
it a
don't
tweet.
have to call it X.
I'm going to call it tweet. That's what I'm doing.
Nobody's gonna come after you and be like, Scott.
I don't know. Drones, man.
Elon Musk changed the name, Scott.
Drones.
I mean, if Musk was really the true narcissist that, if you just leaned into it, he wouldn't call it X. He'd call it Musk.com, and you're sending out a Musk.
Musk.
Ugh.
Yeah, I
Ew.
know.
Oh my god.
I'm
I
going to
don't like
re-Musk this content.
I
don't like
musked
that.
them. They didn't get back to me, but I did musk them.
Yeah, Musker, they'd have to call it. And you'd send a Musk. Well, anyway, here's what he says, Phil Spencer. On the 19th, he posted Xbox P3, by the way, is his username if you want to follow him. We've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It's hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now and in the future. We will share the real plans when we're ready. And that's it. That's perfectly said. What else are you going to say? What else are you going to do? Go, hey, I'd like
We're
everyone
just
to...
gonna announce it all.
I'd like
We
everyone
all
to
know about it.
keep speculating, saying dumb shit on the internet. Please keep doing that.
Could
it's
you
really
all please
helpful.
hold us to this? Because when we leak documents, we consider that a promise.
Right. We really are committed.
There's one promise I want them to keep is this Doom Year Zero. I want another Doom game.
Oh
Yeehaw.
yeah, yes, dude. In fact, today is going to be a good day to talk about that because I actually played some Doom. We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this. One of these comments is just, to me, illustrative of just where our gamer community discourse is on social media. This guy named Morgan on this post says, I would like to emphasize that it's highly unlikely for Xbox to discontinue the support for physical discs in the middle of a current generation, considering they have already sold millions of Xbox Series X consoles that rely on physical media. Well, that's bullshit. This guy wrote, the guy behind him or below him is right. He says, rely is a very strong word. I've had a Series X since launch and I don't own a single disc. Guess who else is like that? Me. I have a ton of games on there. I don't have a single disc. I'm worried the disc drive won't work because there's probably dust in it because I don't use it. I don't do 4K Blu-ray. I don't do any of that shit.
Also, here's a crazy thought. If you use a disc for everything, don't buy the all digital version of the thing you already own.
Well, exactly. Like this refresh, if you wanted it, is mostly about disk space and a couple of spec jumps, but nothing major.
And
So-
you own it. You can install it on your X, upload it to your account, and download it on your refresh, right?
Sure, but the main point is physical discs are on their way out, whether people want to acknowledge this or not. I bought the PlayStation 5. I bought because I saved money to get the one without the disc. I don't need it. I haven't once said, "Oh, I wish I had that disc now." Not once have I said that. Now I'm not. I'm
check
one
to
person.
see which one my parents got. They probably got one with a disc because they're old.
Yeah, they probably don't know. They were like, "Well, we got these DVDs. We got to play them somewhere."
Let me see. I just got to lean a little to the left. I'll find out.
It looks like you're farting.
It has a it has a it sounded like it too because my chair squeaks.
Yeah.
It has a disc drive in it.
Ah, okay. See, your parents, they're like, we can't just throw this giant library of discs away that we've already bought. And I know there are tons of people still loving their physical media. Go for it. Live it up while you can. Because like, I don't know, a million formats before it, this is a limited time. We're not doing this forever. Physical media is on its way out, whether you like it or not. Go look at the sales figures, all that stuff. Vinyl overtook CD sales this year. That's a true thing. I don't have it right in front of me, but I had to do this for DTNS. The amount of vinyl records, which is definitely a boutique kind of idea now anyway, right? Mm-hmm. We're in a mostly digital world with music as it is.
A hipster bourgeoisie thing. You
Exactly.
Disposable income, make some vinyls.
And it overtook CDs of all things. So, and I know people love this. My daughter she loves cassette tapes. She went to a place and found like a whole stack of like 70s and 80s music in cassette form. Was so stoked. She has my old Walkman Sportsman yellow thing that she listens to them on. And she loves it. She's all into it. And But she's not even going to.
Mechanics. You need to have a window so you see the tape doing tape business.
Yeah,
it makes it a little more magical that there's like this engine going to produce the music.
She's fascinated in the way that we might have been as kids when our grandpa rolled out the Super 8 or my dad showed slides in a slide projector or whatever. Like, it's okay to acknowledge that things are on their way out and not put the blame at the base of anybody, Sony, anyone else. This is the way we're headed. Like it or not, we're headed that way. All right. So
Omega 9 makes a good point, although it sounds argumentative with a point I don't think we were making. Is like, for a lot of people, used games and the used game market is an important one to them with how they afford games. And that is almost a 100% disc-based system because there's no such thing as a pre-owned digital game at the moment.
Right.
And that's fine, but it doesn't really go against with what I said, which was if you need the disc, they make that console. It exists. And if you are already bought in, you have it. Don't buy a digital upgrade.
Yeah.
Now, is it unfortunate for those people if eventually console makers altogether decide to abandon putting discs in them? Sure. But it's kind of the trend, regardless of how, regardless of anything else, it's kind of the direction we're going in. And if all of a sudden gaming markets collapse because people can't buy used games anymore, then it'll come back.
No.
Like, if there's a need, believe me, somebody wants to make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to come down to numbers, and those numbers are going to be what is better for us, putting a disk drive in and the cost that creates versus just going all digital.
Yeah.
And right now things are skewing digital.
Yeah, and the longer we go where it's less and less physical, that means if you want to maintain a physical drive option, you're paying more per optical drive than you would have 10 years prior because nobody's making them at the volume they were. So there's also like this production issue of costs going up where you don't want them to, and you really don't need them to. And right now, it's advantageous for both Sony and Microsoft to own or to offer a diskless solution and a disc solution because we're not there yet, but we're getting there really quick. And I'm just not willing to take a document that was never meant for public consumption and assume it was law, because it for all I know, they're not even going to do this refresh. I don't think Sony's doing one either. I think they're both avoiding it this time.
I don't know. I thought I've heard rumors that both were doing it.
Well, I know Sony's got a Slim. There's just some leaked pictures of a Slim, but that's different. That's more like the refresh last time. They've always done Slim stuff, but the refresh last time was an actual bump in, like, these now do 4K or they do higher frame rate, or the Pro and the Xbox One X, whatever the hell it was. What they call it? Xbox One X. So stupid.
Yeah, that's so what stupid. It was. Yep.
So stupid. But anyway, those two things happened, and I just I don't think they happened to. I don't think they did much to boost anybody's anything. I think they were kind of considered not a loss, but just like a wash. So I could be wrong, and I'll happily admit it if it happens. But I don't think either place, especially based on conversations and documents that were created 3 years ago, I don't think this proves that either company is going to do it. They, of course, have had the ideas. This is what you do at a company. You're constantly building out stuff. I would love to see secret encrypted hard drives at places like Apple and Google and a million other places. All the shit they never brought to market, almost did, barely did, just talked about. Like, it's a lot. That's what companies do. They're not all just sitting around going, all right, here's the thing. Now all we do is do the thing. Here's the next. It doesn't work like that. You all work at jobs, It's not as simple as that.
It's fascinating, and I did love it. I loved getting to see it. I loved looking at it. I loved everything about this. But I think seeing the discourse and the discussion around it proves why this stuff is usually kept secret.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
this proves
like you
it.
said, I really wish I could see this for all companies. It'd be wonderful. But maybe based upon the reaction, there's a reason why they keep all this stuff secret.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true. By the way, if you're wondering what $10 would be worth today in 2008, $10 versus today, $14.26 in standard metrics. So there you go. Not great. Don't love it.
$40 in horse armor.
Someone's not going to be happy about that. All right. Well done. Let's get to this now. It's time to talk about the games that we played this week, and we'll talk a little bit more about Starfield today because John and I have both been playing it. Did you have your major ship loss before we spoke last week? You did, right? Did we do that? Or was
let me tell you another little story about ship loss, Scott.
Oh, no.
Last week on the show, I shared a fun story about losing a ship.
Yeah.
And it took up a big chunk of the show. And then after that show ended, I went and played Starfield because, like I said on the show, I'm really having a good time with Starfield. I like it. It has been a fun time.
Yeah.
I am not kidding you. Here's what happened immediately following our episode last week. It was on Thursday night. I told everybody I restarted the game, and I had only just restarted. And I went on a very early game mission where they teach you how to power down your ship systems to try and sneak past a couple of enemy ships. And I thought, well, I'm an experienced fighter pilot at this point in the game. I know I've seen my way around a skirmish or two. I can surely take out these 3 enemy ships. And it turns out I could. I was good enough. And I took them down. And not only did I take them down, but I captured one of the ships. And very early in the game, I thought, I'm going to keep this ship. This is a major upgrade over the Frontier. What a great ship this is. So I kept that ship. Did I then make it my home ship or return to a port to really own the ship outright? No, I was in the middle of a mission. Naturally, I would want to finish the mission I was on.
Yeah.
So I took the ship over to the salvage yard and proceeded to do a long walk through a big star base, killing a bunch of people, lots of firefights, and finished it and said, all right, return me to my ship, which had disappeared. And I spawned into the void of space with my companion Sarah upside down, staring blankly into the camera at me, and hard locked to the game.
Oh, no. Okay.
So I
Lost it
reloaded a
again.
save from
Yeah.
several hours before.
Oh, shit.
I could not, for some reason, beat the ship this time. I lost that fight every time. And went, all right, it's fine. So I went through that starbase a second time. By now we might be to Friday, but still, not long after we recorded that show.
Yeah.
So I still had the Frontier, didn't change my ship, but I spent all that time working on things and turned around. I'm watching all the glitches that you're posting, and it's some quality stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But while I was on that starbase mission, there was some contraband that's very well hidden, but on that mission. And I picked it up because I was like, yeah, why not? I know where I can sell contraband. This isn't my first time in the galaxy. I know where I can go. I know a guy.
Yeah.
But that starbase mission's kind of long. It takes a while to go through all of it. And I forgot that I had contraband on me
Yeah.
while I was doing it. So I loaded into space to continue the mission, and immediately the game tried to start to launch a mission where when you first get arrested, it will be like they'll take you on board a ship and it launches into this story quest. But also I got a warning from the starbase that they were finding contraband, and I thought, oh man, I forgot I had this on the ship. I'm gonna just run. So I just jetted off to go sell my contraband in the Wolf system.
Yeah, Wolf Systems
And-
where you go for that. Yeah.
Well, Wolf systems where you get it done. And so I appear to the starbase and I hail them. And then they go, yeah, permission to come aboard. Come on. So I dock. I go walking into the ship. All of a sudden, Sarah looks at me and she goes, I am not going to help you murder these people. And I went, what? And everybody on the ship started shooting me. I got
Wait,
shot to death.
In the den station or whatever it's called? It's called
Yeah,
Den,
in
I
the
think.
den.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
So I tried reloading saves, and I was now kill on sight literally everywhere I went in the galaxy.
Oh no.
And I was like, what do I do? So I got on the internet. I was like, internet, I'm wanted by everybody. Where do I go? And they're like, hey, it's fine. Go here. And they told me to go to a system, and they're like, they'll take care of you there. So I teleported to that system, and the banking clan, like the Galbank people, they started shooting me.
Oh, shit.
And then because they were shooting me, everybody else got hostile and they started shooting me too. So I literally couldn't go anywhere without getting shot at.
Yeah.
And all because of and it was like a 300 credit bounty. It was nothing, but they wanted to vaporize me for it.
Nobody wanted
And-
to
The whole
demand the money.
universe knew you owed money and wanted to kill you.
Yes.
$300.
No, 300 credits in this game is like 30 cents.
It's nothing.
It's nothing. It is
Nothing.
the smallest amount of money. If I found 300 credits sitting on the floor, I would debate if it was worth picking up. And they're like ready to blow up my ship, its entire crew, which might have included a child at certain points. Vaporize them for it. 300 credits, man.
Yeah.
I did eventually find a way to clear the bounty. And then I was so annoyed at what I had done to the state of the universe, I wound up reloading the save anyway and lost again hours of progress to start over.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Man, you're just not having a great time with this game. Every time you end a lot of sentences with "I reloaded my save and lost hours."
Yeah, there's a lot more than I haven't had this happen at all. I've only had one hard lock, and it was right after a save when I warped into a room or opened a door and came into a room, and I was fine. And I just went back and it worked. But that's the only problem I've had on PC. I haven't locked or had any issues yet. On console was the one lock, and my experience has just been kind of pristine in that regard. The only weird glitch I've had is that lady walking in her underwear in the cowboy town city in forgot
Oh,
what
she
the,
just didn't get spawned in with clothes.
yeah, she's walking around talking all serious about security and crime in the area and all this, but she's just in the tiniest little pair of bra and panties, and I
Maybe
just
she's
couldn't take
playing
her
in
serious.
VR. Forgot.
Yeah, I
happened
stuck
to
it
me.
on the latest core, but it was real stupid. But I just haven't had that. So my guess is, like most Bethesda games, glitches are going to be. You can't predict who's going to get him and when they're going to get him and how they're going to see him. And John's got terrible luck with this, like terrible.
And that's the thing is, I don't think I did anything that crazy. Like, that's why I wanted to share the story. I don't think I made any decisions in these stories that seem like, well, look at John going and breaking the game, always has to push the limits of the game, always messing up. Like, I don't think I did anything that insane to warrant these. Now, I will say I did end up this guy that you're showing on the screen. I'm trying not to be distracted by it, but
It's a guy.
that is a man.
They're the top.
That's a man right there.
The,
You
the
can make
character
that on purpose, right?
Yeah, the character creator is pretty good for this. You can do some real stupid characters, really ugly people if you want. Not that guy, but this guy here with the mustache and the green face. You'll see him in a second. Freddie from Mercury, he's called. He looks terrible. He looks
wow.
so bad.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah. Anyway.
But Anyway, like I again, I think it's a testament to how much fun I am actually having with the game. Like I say what I've been through, and I see the comments where people are like, I don't think this is a game for you. Oh no, John's going to complain about it again. Look at the hardship I've been through, and it's still a game I keep going back to.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I hit a problem and went, that's it, uninstalled, done with the game forever. I'll have one of those later today. But this was like a real, I'm like, no, I got to get it to work. Yeah, I lost hours of progress, but it's fine. I'm gonna force my way through it and have a good time. And I have been having a good time. And I also have learned my lessons, because I did have the disappearing ship happen to me again, but this time I had saved right before I edited the ship because I learned my lesson. And so I just reloaded the save, messed with the edits again, and for whatever reason that time it worked fine, as well as remaking the Starscream, which is a real killer ship once again.
Yeah.
So I'm continuing to have fun with Starfield. I swear, I know it doesn't always sound like it, but I am running into a lot of frustrating bugs. And I will say the stuff that I ran into right after the show last week, that is the closest I've been to quitting the game. That was a little too much of rerunning the same mission back to back to back. I was really almost done. But I do maintain there is some really cool stuff. There is a lot of, like, you know, you make your own fun in it. And I have had plenty of things that I've enjoyed doing. And so it's the game is a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm finding fun in spite of it.
Same. And I haven't really had the big issues, so I guess I'm just finding fun. But the thing I wanted to mention, one of the things that you've had not a complaint about, but you've mentioned it, and I haven't disagreed, is that early on, it feels like, go get me this piece of metal missions, especially in the main story. And it is kind of that. It's go to a planet, get on the base, take out everybody who's guarding the base. They're usually pirates or some other nasty clan. Go deep into the thing, find the thing you're looking for, unearth it, have a little vision come out, add to the ship, you know, keep building up the ring thing. And I was starting, this is a while ago, but I was starting to think, oh, is this all I'm ever going to do for these bits? Like, can these missions be interesting? Or more interesting? That'd be nice, because some of these side missions and these like faction missions have been incredible, and I thought we could use a little juice in the main quest. Not an unheard of comment either. Other people have said similar things. I found a mission to go get what I thought was just walk in, kill a bunch of guys, and take another hunk of metal that subverted all my expectations about getting that metal. And I don't want to give it away. That's how much I liked it. I'll just say there's a device you get that, because of who you are and the experience you've had, lets you do a certain thing that is really cool. Really cool mission. And it took a long time to get through that. I think I played that mission for almost 2 hours because it was difficult, but it was so meaningfully different than the previous ways of trying to get a hold of these artifacts. And it was technically impressive because it was doing some stuff like, oh my gosh, how are you even doing this right now? For a game that relies on, you know, I need a little bit of a loading screen to get into my ship, and I need a little loading screen to get in certain buildings, I kind of expect those a lot more. And it was doing something that didn't need a load screen that was impressive. It's like, wow. So I don't want to say more than that, because this is, you know, most of the game you can talk about in these generalized ways because everyone's experience can be a little different. Baldur's Gate 3 is that way too. But this game has this one mission so far where I'm getting artifacts still that kind of blew my mind. And I really liked that. So just wanted to throw that out there. Everybody who's hearing me say this knows what I'm talking about because they've seen it or they haven't and they don't know what I'm talking about. That's the sign of a good non-spoiler right there. Okay? So save your emails. Anyway, Starfield. Starfield, the only problem I have with Starfield is Starfield's going to get a little neglected next week, maybe even sooner, because this Cyberpunk stuff is going to take up a ton of my time. And John's.
The one nice thing about Cyberpunk is, you know, it's probably going to be in a good state on launch.
Yeah. Some of the early reviews have been pretty stellar. Like, the
base game client's in the most perfected state it's been in, and the rest of the game's built in it. So, you know.
We want to talk about that because it's kind of coming up naturally. It's on my list, and
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it now. It's what is it? 26th. We get the actual expansion / DLC. As of today, the 2.0 changes are in, and John already got in. I didn't yet because I had this feeling of like wait for the DLC. In fact, Bo, you're the one that kind of got me thinking about it. So John made a really good argument pre-show for a hot second, and we said we'll save it for the show. So now we've saved it for the show. Why do you say go ahead and start your new fresh character now? Because it won't matter until next week. You don't have to hold off.
So
right?
Right now, if you are interested in playing the Cyberpunk expansion, now is not a bad time to get into the game. Because as of today, they did the 2.0 update. That's what I played. Although I don't have a lot to say about the update because, and this ties into my reasoning why it's okay to start right now, Cyberpunk has a big ramp up. There's a big long prologue. There's a lot to do before you really get going. Like, it kind of has multiple prologues in a way. Like, there's kind of like a prologue to your character, then there's sort of a prologue to the game world, and then a big event happens, and then that event ends, and then it sort of becomes the open world game that it is going to become. And so this new expansion that's coming out next week is a story that fits within the campaign of the original Cyberpunk 2077. It doesn't happen after it. It doesn't happen before it. Like, it is going to be mixed in with the campaign. So for a lot of people, that's a good sign of, well, I would like to start over. Let's see the whole experience. And you're going to need to get through a lot of that prologue stuff anyway. So with the 2.0 update being in the game now, I think now is a fine time to start playing, which is what I decided to do. It's also the reason why I don't have a lot to say about the 2.0 update, because I haven't gotten to talent trees and a lot of the changes that they've made. I'm still very much on the prologue. And I'll be honest, I had an hour, 2 hours to play, and most of it was spent in character creation.
Of course.
I
of course.
couldn't get past it. I've done it before, and I still couldn't. It still took me like 2 hours to get through character creation. That's for me. That's my problem. Those are my hang-ups. But I will say this. It was running good when I played through it last. I don't remember when that was that I played through Cyberpunk. It was what led to my Fortnite obsession for a while. But whenever that was, the game was running well.
Yeah.
It feels like it is running and looking better now. I don't know if that is just me forgetting how that game looked and ran. I don't know if I'm comparing it to Starfield. I don't know what it is, but I got in that game and was like, oh my gosh, this game looks so good, and is running really smooth. So whatever they've done in the days since, it's looking and feeling great so far. I can't wait to play more. I'm really excited for the expansion. I said this before. In terms of technical and performance, like, obviously we all knew the problems that it had when it came out. But one of the biggest incorrect statements I've ever said on this show was that I didn't think there was anything much to Cyberpunk besides that. By the time I finished it all, obsessed with that world, obsessed with the characters. I thought Keanu Reeves was kind of just a dick. And I was sure that there was going to be a change to his character. I didn't know I was going to care so much about the characters because, again, you get into that edgy, I don't want to call it Borderlands humor, but adjacent to that, the Grand Theft Auto style parody and stuff like that. It's very easy to go, oh, this is edgelord nonsense. There's not going to be any emotion here. And it put me in a place where every time I see Keanu Reeves, I kind of think in the back of my head, oh, there's my friend. And it's really sad, but it's there because of this game. Because I'm like, no, he's my friend. It's my friend Keanu right there.
Yeah.
Or Johnny, whichever I decide to call him in the moment. Like,
Sure.
It's really, really impressive. So I think the game is on sale on Steam right now. I think it's got a big chunk off.
Mhm.
And the new expansion is not that expensive. I kind of expected it to be a full price, even though it was just an expansion. But I was pleasantly surprised that it is expansion price.
Was it 39?
So
39, 29?
I think it was 39.
39, I think is
think.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
29 seems wrong.
So
Pretty good.
I
Reasonable
would
stuff.
say it's worth checking out if you're interested. That game, everybody knows how that game started, but where it has wound up is a pretty good spot.
Bo, before I throw it to you about your plans, I wanted to read this quote on the IGN review that went up today or yesterday.
Mhm.
They said, they gave it a 9 out of 10, by the way, which is pretty high. They said this. I'll read this first part because it's kind of funny. Remember how dildos were originally in Cyberpunk 2077? You couldn't loot a corner in Night City without picking up a dildo. To the point where CD Projekt Red actually had to patch a number of them out of the game. Lootable dildos weren't necessarily a problem on their own, but the abundance was a good example of how Cyberpunk's grand story could occasionally clash with the cheap shock humor found around it. Phantom Liberty aimed to right that dildo misalignment, and after some soul searching, has seemingly found what kind of cyberpunk story it wants to tell overall, and nails it. Balancing the punk rock verve of the Mike Pondsmith's tabletop RPG, an exquisitely crafted spy story, and best-in-class visuals, Phantom Liberty is Cyberpunk 2077 at its very best. It goes on, and they talk about a bunch of other stuff, but that seems to be the consensus. I haven't read a bad thing about it yet, so I'm pretty stoked. Are you, Bo, going to dabble ahead of time with the 2.0 stuff, or are you going to wait for the deal?
I'm going to wait to experience it all at once. Yeah, I'm curious, but I can wait a week.
Yeah,
I'm kind of on a gaming break. That's why I haven't really dug into Starfield. I've been going hard on Diablo 4, going hard on Baldur's Gate 3. Even my Evil playthrough, I kind of haven't touched Baldur's Gate 3 all week. I'm a little burnt out. I need some downtime.
Sure.
We'll talk about what I've been playing. But I think I'm going to play the shit out of this game next week. There is the small chance I may not play also next week.
Oh my! Look at you doing self care. Look at this.
Well, no, not for a self-care reason. I guess I made it seem like I was continuing that. I am doing self-care these past 2 weeks on the gaming front, but Cyberpunk VR is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The one downside is I've played the game. So I kind of, the surprising moments, I know what to expect, and it'd be kind of fun if I didn't. This presents an opportunity for me to play it in VR without having played some of the content, which is interesting a little bit to me. I don't like head aiming, which some of these mods force. So I don't know if I should wait or not. I just haven't decided. But there's a little part of me when you're sitting next to Jackie in the opening scene at the the brain dance place. What's that place called?
Moxie's, right?
It feels like someone's sitting there because the mocap performance is so good, the voice acting's so good. I feel like it feels pretty like you can't get that from a VR. You can't go in the MetaQuest store and get a game that good. So I'm a little bit like.
I could see that. We saw some early VR footage that looked insane to me. Like I couldn't believe that was VR footage. It was something. So I could see you wanting to do that.
Remember, that movie Strange Days?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Where they're using the squid tech. You're not in the game in VR like in the way that the squid science fiction works, but it's as close to that experience as you're gonna kind of get playing Cyberpunk. Yeah. Because the way they tell the story, the guys are in your face too. It's first person. It's the most first person game that there, I think, in existence. Like when you're facing off against not Brick but Royce.
Yeah.
That moment where you stick the gun in his head. Like those scenes really pop in VR because I've said what's important in VR is the intimate space, and Cyberpunk, just that one game, is made with that in mind, even though it's made for flat screens, everything's happening in your face, kind of those big dramatic moments. And Keanu Reeves gets in your face and he's like, "You're an idiot," it's just it's very visceral. So there's a part of me that's like, I might wait for a mod. I might wait for a mod if I possibly can. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. I thought you were waiting because. So John, my understanding is if you play it now and then the stuff drops next week, it'll be seamless because they're just adding it to the world. It's not even level dependent. You just can go off to the new zones and the new areas or the new NPCs and start talking and start doing shit.
It might require progress to a certain point within the campaign. I mean, there are certain things that it ties into narratively. There is a big story hook in the game that doesn't even become apparent until Keanu Reeves shows up.
Yeah.
and this story is supposed to tie in part to that story. So my guess would be narratively that story has to have progressed at least a certain bit before you can start this, because it's tied to it. But it is a decent way into the game. So unless you are going to be mainlining this game for a week and really push hard, I think you should be okay. But if you do want to kind of have a seamless experience, I would wait until next week.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not going to get far enough for it to be a problem in the days that I have. I know I won't get that far.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. I was going to say one other thing about it. What was it? It was price confirmation, $29, less than you thought. 40 Canadian.
Yeah.
So, sorry,
Yeah,
Canada,
30
you're going to pay $10 more.
$30, and I did see it is on sale on Steam at least. I don't know if it is also on GOG or not, but it's on sale for, I think it was $35.
Yeah.
I had it up, and as soon as I picked the maximize the tab, it went away. So.
What a great time to get the game at all, and what a great price to sell this expansion content for. I'm impressed with them. Somebody said this is the greatest redemption story in gaming, and I said I still think No Man's Sky maybe has a little bit on it in terms of overall time and expectation, maybe. But for a giant AAA failure at launch, it's pretty good. Pretty good what they've done here. Anyway, more on that soon. I played Doom 2016. Would you like to know why I did that?
It's a great game, right?
Yes, it is a fantastic game. The reason I played it is I was listening to Mick Gordon music all week or last week. For whatever reason, I was just really into his. I always am. I love listening to the tracks from that game and from Eternal and other games he's done. And I wish he would make his own music. I just think that guy could just go so far if he just made his own albums. He doesn't do that, but I wish he did. Anyway, that just gets you in the mood to play it. And so I did.
Yeah, you hear it and you think, I could be killing demons at the same time.
Yep. And when I fired it up, I realized, I've got like a 4-hour in playthrough that I didn't finish after my first one that I beat. So I beat the game back in the day. And then I started another run, and for whatever reason, just never got back to it. So I'm like, well, I could pick it up from there because I don't want to start, if I've already done that, why do it again? So I started there, and man, that game, dude, it's so good. What a great freaking video game. So I played a lot of that. So not much more to say because we all know what it is, but
yeah.
Doom.
I don't blame you. It's great.
Doom
it's
rocks.
One of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Doom game.
Yeah, of all the Doom games, like I have really soft spots for the OG stuff because I was, young and stoked and couldn't believe that was even possible, and all the reasons why Doom was such a big impact. But I think if I'm just to grade it all, this is my favorite. And Bo would say Eternal. I don't remember how I felt about Eternal. I kind of want to go back now. And
I
see.
really liked it as well, but they just upped the combat puzzle into a more challenging place that I felt distracted from the overall experience, and it got a little lore heavy, where the thing that I liked about Doom 2016 was that Doom Guy did not care about the lore.
No.
Like anytime lore started to happen to Doom Guy, he would break a computer or smash something or walk away from it. He had zero interest in lore happening, and I felt that the follow-up was a little too into the lore of the universe, and so I still think it's a phenomenal game. Again, it's like, okay, well, why do you like this thing you really like more than this other thing you really like? But that's why I think 2016 for me is a little better.
Yeah, I think the focus there's a simplicity to it that I really like, and I like the intro to that game is so good. It's so freaking good.
2016 is, even though it's not like a survival or a horror game, there are kind of some scary-ish moments in it, like tense.
Yeah.
Like if you turn off all the lights, play this game, and you're wandering around empty Mars station, and a freaking Hell Knight jumps over a thing, or like it can scare you. Like this game can provide. It's not designed to, but it can put you in that space. It's a little survivally that way.
Sure.
Or Doom Eternal is just straight up like action arcade game for the most. Like there's nothing scary about Doom Eternal at all. Like it just feels, it's very not that. And the combat puzzle, like because it feels like I'm trying to beat the arena or beat what part of the level and stuff. There's a lot of there's definitely way more immersion in Doom 2016 because there's a lot of like symbols and completion questy things and all that business. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, people's takes may vary on this, but I had so much fun revisiting it, and I while I haven't beat the second run through yet that I resumed, I played hours and hours and hours, and I got as far as hell after you beat the Cyber Demon.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I got far. Yeah, I got really far. So I'm actually not that. I could complete it pretty quick. But I just, now that this is like
armor's cooler on this one.
Yeah, the armor's rad.
I don't like the half ripped off armor and weirdness.
Yeah, I do like the grenade system better in Eternal. I'll say that. I like that stuff. And the knife thing's cool.
Yeah.
But,
like the shoulder rockets and shit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But it
both,
also,
I think they're both have equal claim to be called great.
Yeah, they're the two best Doom games that exist. There, I said it.
And kudos on them for doing something different instead of just going more of the same.
I agree.
Like
not going to land on everybody,
it's
but
cool that they tried to evolve it, even if I didn't like what they tried as much. Like, I still am happy that they tried something new instead of just went, well, people want more of that. Let's do it.
Yeah, this game's awesome. So go play it. It's on Game Pass. There's no reason not to play this game. Just freaking play it. I think it's even on fun. PlayStation Plus. I think even has it. All right, there's that. What else did I play? Oh, here's a weird one for you. I decided to quit being a baby about the Persona games. And by being a baby, I mean I tried to play Persona 4 and I didn't like it because it
was this the one you were talking about in Discord? Like, you'll never believe what I'm playing.
Yeah.
And then I guessed it. And
John guessed it immediately, like first try.
And you both grabbed it on sale on Steam or something, which I didn't even know was on sale.
Yeah,
I
did.
I grabbed it on Game Pass because I just saw it and went, you know what, Scott, try something that you don't think you're going to like.
So I only started a new game and watched until the first save point. So maybe like 30 minutes. So I can talk a little bit with you about first impressions if you want.
Yeah, please. So the reason I didn't like 4 when I tried to play it was that I found 4 to be, how do I put this? Just too much relation-y stuff, and it was like a lot of dialogue that was not interesting to me at all, and it was way far and few between where I got to actually do combat or interesting exploration.
No Shadowheart.
Yeah, it just didn't do it for me. And so it was not that it was full of too many anime tropes or any of that. What people may think that's not what bothered me. It was that. And but I know these are revered, right? People freaking love these games. And I just decided, you know what? Let's see what 5 Royale's like, because everyone says that's really awesome. Like 5 really nailed it. And I got to tell you, I played, 4 hours so far. This game's awesome. It's really good. And the cheeseball story is landing for me, partly because they're not spending so much time standing around jibber-jabbing. They kind of get to the point of it. You get going. And
it's almost like it's just like as soon as something new is introduced, it just moves on to the next thing. And you're like the whole intro for me was like, what's going on? Okay, anyway, but there's flashing lights and it looks neat. So
yeah,
it's like learn to stealth. You stealth for 2 seconds and like, anyways, and it just moves on to the next thing. And I'm like, but I barely. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with this. I was like, this is working.
Same. There's a rhythm to it. I think that I was really grooving on, and I love the style of it all. It reminds me of Sega's the publisher here. It's Atlas is the developer, but it has Sega late 90s, early 2000s design aesthetics with like interface. What buttons you use to do, when you're in combat and you're choosing your abilities. It's turn-based combat like a JRPG, but it's all done in such a stylistic UI that I feel like I'm playing the great grandson of what was the rollerblade tagging game that was on the Dreamcast? What was that called?
Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio. I feel like I'm playing a Jet Set Radio universe game or something in some ways, and but not in a bad way. Like, I think it's very cool the way it looks and moves and
it's got like full-on anime cutscenes. Like, I don't know how much of the game is that, but when I look at the trailer, I get the impression there might be quite a bit of it.
There is a lot. So far, anyway. In my 4 hours, I've seen, 5 or 6 animated cutscenes that pretty seamlessly go from game world to animated, tell some story, and then move right back to game world. And it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't have load times. It feels really tight. I like these characters so far. I like the story they're telling. I like when they get a little goofball because they do.
It's definitely a classic anime story where it throws a whole bunch of made up words at you and you have no idea what's going on. And there's
Yeah.
a flashback.
Yeah. And the combat's fun. Like the Persona combat stuff, which, Persona fans are, this is all old news to them. But to me, some of these were new ideas. And yeah, dude, I'm into it. It's good. I'm playing it on Game
the menu
Pass.
screen, I really appreciated how stylistic the menu screen is too. Like you just load up the game and it's like here's production value for the sake of production value.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's just
It's like Crazy Taxi. It's like red and black colored Crazy Taxi in a weird way.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm
interesting.
I'm into it. I like it a lot. I think I'm going to keep going and try to play more because I'm actually having a really, really good time. And somebody out there, please write in if you're like a Persona freak and you understand why 5 is hitting me so well and 4 didn't. Maybe I've changed, but it does feel like this is a different kind of game.
I would say like I've looked at the Persona 4 and Persona 3 Golden, I think it's called, like trailers or marketing or whatever on Steam, the videos and pictures, and it doesn't look nearly as enticing on a surface level anyways as this one does. Like I'm sure there's style and it's great, but the packaging on this looks like they kind of went, it's like the Final Fantasy VII effect or something like that, where all of a sudden they got a huge budget, a huge surge of inspiration, maybe from a creative director. Like I don't see animated cutscenes in the other ones.
No.
To the extent that's in this one, it's like they just really went nuts here.
Yeah, it feels like it. And so what do I have to say that's a complaining? I only have one complaint. And it's a very core story issue that maybe I just don't understand the culture of it.
Core story.
But the story starts, so this isn't a spoiler. The story starts with you're this high school kid. There's a bunch of preamble, but when you start doing flashbacks, you understand why you got where you got. And how you got there is you intervened because some old guy was trying to take advantage of a girl on the street, and you found them walking home. And he was trying to, he was being awful. Like he was going to rape her, basically, is the deal. That's what the game is telling you. And you stop it. You intervene. You freak this guy out. He goes running off somewhere else. And you end up getting arrested, suspended from school. Your parents make you move to another township, move in with this guy that owns a bar. He thinks you suck because of what you did. Everyone thinks you're a rotten, poopy teenager for doing the right thing, and I don't understand why.
Wait, is it because it gets misinterpreted as him just beating on an old man, and his story is like...
No, they all... Well, and again, maybe some of this is lost in translation. I don't know.
It might be story stuff, because anime has this weird thing, too. There's like... Because having watched a little bit of the intro, I'm getting the sense that like maybe everyone's born with an evil eyeball and the evil eyeball mind controls everyone, and that's why everyone's behavior is weird because you were born without the evil eyeball.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, I'm thinking of Kill la Kill, where it's like figuring out who the alien race is in that TV show, and you're like, if you've seen a trailer, you're like, what alien race? Yeah. And I go, I know, but it's in the show. in the weirdest place possible. And I'm only not saying because it spoils kind of one of the big reveals for the series.
Sure.
So Chad says that the old man was a political figure.
Yeah, so I guess that is true.
See, it's a spoiler. It's okay that you said it, and it's okay that we talked about it, but like it's putting you in the position of the kid to have not known, right? To be like, I don't know why I'm being mistreated this way.
Yeah, that's like, true. But John, I saw the messages as well, and I knew this in the game, but the game doesn't make it clear that the reason everyone's mad is because his influence. Like, it doesn't clear. That doesn't make it clear. Everyone just thinks you're some kind of thug, and they don't really get into why they think that. So maybe that comes out later. I'm early enough.
Maybe there's a little bit of misogyny coded stuff in here too, where they don't believe the victim. Like.
Yeah, maybe.
You're like, Mom, that guy was trying to R-word this guy. And like, yeah, right, he's a politician. Like, whatever. Like, idiot kid. Like, get out of here. You just beat up a politician. You bring dishonor. Honor being kind of a thing, too, in Japan.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if they're in Japan or if they're in sci-fi land, but it seems like it might be taking place in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Yakuza, because Yakuza also has, like, questionable humor at times. Right? You go on dates and the chubby girl with glasses is like, ooh, yeah, you know, Kiryu's like, oh my god, he's barfing, and just like, she's not that bad looking, and like that's rude,
Yeah.
you know, and like it's just like, you know, there might be some of that going on with this story too.
Could be some
But
mores that are weird.
It might be
you know.
aliens. I wouldn't rule out aliens. Even
Yeah.
that guy who posted might not know that it's aliens at the end of the
Well,
day.
in the chat
So-
room says the dude is very relevant later. You just got to get there. It's all explained later. So I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
keep going because what I'm doing is really fun, and the game.
It's a Japanese onion, Scott. You
Yep.
gotta keep peeling.
Yep.
And try not to cry.
And also the stereotypes they apply to high school kids are hilarious to me. Like they're just so like his friend who's just kind of a troublemaker is just such a stereotype of a troublemaker, and his dialogue silly. Oh, I will say this. The English dialogue's fine. It's okay. It's a little 90s dubby quality. It's not great. It's okay. But I decided to flip it to Japanese dialogue, English subtitles. I like it a lot more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting less.
Scott and getting
Cheese
lots
ball.
of props from the subs not dubs crowd.
Yeah,
They're
subs not dub crowd,
excited
real
now.
happy because usually I'm the opposite with this stuff, but for whatever reason, it's working
It depends
better.
how good it is. There's some real, they're not really award winning, but there's some award winning VA work in anime that, where it's like totally fine watching this in English. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's a good time. I like it. I'm gonna.
I'd be
keep it up.
curious to play it. I've played a lot of 3 and I've played a lot of 4, so I might be able to tell you why this hits better for you than the other two.
Yeah, when you have
but
a
I gotta
chance.
play this one because I haven't played this one, so that's where I'm missing information. Is I'm playing
Scott,
this one.
John might hate this. He come back next week and
Yeah,
he's like,
maybe.
listen,
Oh,
I
they
played
ruined
5
the
hours and I
series.
had to reload a save.
Yeah, this one. I mean, this one
My ship
reviewed.
disappeared.
This one reviewed
Your
extremely
agenda.
well,
This is
and
the agenda, this
fans seem to like it. So it doesn't seem like they got a bummer here. But I would be curious to hear your take, given that you've played the other ones and the ones that just didn't interest me. But a lot has changed in my own head about what I like over that time. So maybe that's part of it. I just like this stuff more now. I don't know.
It might just be hitting you. It might just have the secret sauce. You know, I bought it because I felt like playing Infinite Wealth, but it's not out yet. And it's kind of the closest, right? Like
Yeah.
attack, spell, or
Yeah.
item.
Yeah.
Attack, spell, item game.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I didn't realize this the whole time until someone pointed out an article today. But in Like a Dragon, the 4 choices you have for actions, like at the top menu,
Yeah.
is like skill, action, etc.
Right.
And something with a G. I can't remember what it was, but it spells out Sega,
What?
which I thought was kind of like wild. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Come on. Is that real? That's crazy.
Let me double check that now. I've read it somewhere, but I didn't actually validate it.
That's wild. I love when they do that.
Yeah,
Secret stuff like that's great, especially for a
Sega combat
series.
system. Yeah.
Say by the
Oh
we
yeah,
didn't.
it's guard. Right.
Oh,
SCGA. I never noticed the whole time the capital letters are the acronym for Sega,
never saw
and I
it.
never noticed until someone pointed it out, and I'm like, "That's awesome."
You played a lot too.
I know that's why I felt so stupid when it pointed out. I'm like, didn't notice it the whole time.
Sega.
Oh,
we didn't.
Persona 5 isn't what I bought. I bought Persona 4.
Oh, well, they're both on sale.
Weird. So you looked at Persona 4 and went, "That's the one for
Well,
me."
no, that's not really what happened. There was a Sega bundle on Steam, and I have a habit of just clicking bundles. And there was a bundle where I owned, I think, like one of the games that were in there, but had 1 or 2 of them, but didn't have the rest. And like when they did all the calculations and the removals, it was like, hey, you want to spend $13? And I was like, yeah. I don't remember what the total number was, but I got Persona 4 Golden, Yakuza 0, Sonic Mania, 2 Point Hospital, Total War Napoleon. And it was like barely anything for those games. And I was
Wow.
like, well, I don't have them. I'll get them. Like that all seems fine to me. So it was in a bundle, but yeah, 5 was on sale at the same time, but I didn't buy 5.
Yeah,
I
5
got
was just
4.
35 on its own. I think was the money.
Beep 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 beep. I got breaking news.
Uh-oh, breaking news.
Sale news.
Go.
There's a Konami sale happening.
Ooh, what do we got in
on
there?
Steam.
Give us a little rundown.
The big one looks like Castlevania, like old school, like Simon's Quest. Like all the Castlevanias are on sale. Some of them are 80% off.
That's pretty
So
good.
like they're old games, but they're Castlevania Lords of Shadow Ultimate Edition, $32. Canadian is now $6. So
Let's
I don't know.
see. Oh yeah, they got all
The
these.
Advanced Collection for $12.
That's worth
not
it. I have
Like,
that.
lots of
I
good
mean,
Steam
really, you
Deck
just want the
fodder.
one game out of it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Aria
if you
of
like
Sorrow, dude.
Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a ton of deals on Yu-Gi-Oh, but
Yeah. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga edition thing is way cut down. They got a Contra combo with that. That's interesting. Nothing. I was looking
yeah, like
for.
it's all old school stuff. But I'm like, I don't know. It seems cool.
They have anything new coming here? Let's see.
Super
really.
crazy Rhythm Castle's coming, whatever that is.
Silent Hill Homecoming. Which one's that? Well, anyway, Rocket Knight. I used to love that.
Yeah.
Contra
Yeah,
Collection.
Sorry, I know we got some Castlevania fans in the house, so I was like, oh shit.
Do you remember Zone of Enders?
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I don't think I played it.
Ben tried to sell me Zone of Enders. Our mutual friend Ben, when he worked at a game store that I would later go on to work, he made it his personal mission to sell me Zone of the Enders
Yeah.
every time I was in the store. And because he tried too hard, and I am who I am,
Yeah.
I refused to ever buy or play Zone of the Enders.
Sounds like
So
fun.
I can say, no, I haven't played 1 or 2, not for lack of trying to be sold on it, but I have made a personal refusal to let Ben win by playing this video game.
Well, you can't let him win. I understand that.
I can't let him win. I can't give him a win on this one. I have to stick to my guns and never play this video game. Just a shame. It looks good, but I can't let Ben win.
No winning, Ben. That's the deal. This says there's a VR mod for this. Hold on.
For Zone of the Enders?
Zone of the
probably.
Enders. But this wasn't this I know it was Konami, but wasn't Kojima involved somehow? I remember his name being associated with this. And it was
I think so in some way. I know that Zone of the Enders is what, like, that game did pretty well because that came with the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Oh,
You bought Zone of the Enders and you got the demo along with it.
that's right.
And I'm not kidding. I worked again at a particular game store around this time. The amount of times people would buy that game and just trade in to try to get value from Zone of the Enders because they just wanted the Metal Gear demo that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it happened a shocking amount of times.
I'll bet. That was a thing back then. A lot of stealthy ways to get people to play games that maybe, especially in the States, wasn't on your radar. Like Zone of the Enders, who was thinking about that really? Except some hardcores, So that's the way to do it. You put a demo in there everyone cares about. Well, anyway, bunch of sales. Go check it out. But nothing. Boy, they don't have anything new on here. It's like all old ass games. But thank you for that breaking news in the field there, Bo. We'll get back to you after the weather and the traffic. Moving on.
Right.
That's it for me. John, Mortal Kombat 1 sort of came out. Didn't it?
It did sort of come out.
Yeah.
I'm really sad to tell this story. When I hinted that a game made me so mad, I refunded it. I am talking about Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh no!
I say that with full awareness that we have some friends over there at NetherRealm Studios. I'm gonna say that this is maybe, hopefully, a unique experience, but I was really excited. I bought the expensive edition because I was like, I love what they're doing with the DLC characters. Like, Homelander in there, I think, is a fantastic choice for a Mortal Kombat character. Omni-Man, curious how they're going to be different, but like, I was very excited for it. But this gameplay you're showing sure isn't what the gameplay I was experiencing looked like. This game was a stuttery mess on my computer. And I was not having a very good time with it. And unfortunately, it came at the end of, I was really excited to play it, played it again, frame rate and the way it was playing just was not feeling good. And I was playing it on the PC, to be clear, and I have heard that there are PC issues. Now, I will say, maybe a testament to how good the game is, if you look on Steam, it still has mostly positive reviews. So usually if a game has tech issues, you're looking at big negatives. But it is fighting that, it seems. For me, unfortunately, I got the tech issues. This game didn't run well, and I went to change my settings, and in the story mode, I hit pause, and the only option on the pause menu was resume.
Oh my gosh.
And I went,
that doesn't seem right.
Okay, so I hit pause, sitting there watching a cutscene that sounds like it's going to burn my computer alive based on how it is looking and acting. And it's sitting there just waiting to get to a fight so I can hit a pause menu to actually quit out of the story and get into a menu. And I got so mad and frustrated with the experience that I Alt F4'd and asked for a refund.
Wow. Get it later
I'm-
when it's fixed.
So it's down to performance,
I'm
not the
super
game,
bummed.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the game from what I got to play of it, continuing a long line of really solid Mortal Kombat experiences. You know, the game looks great when it's running. It played great. I think the tag system where you can have a cameo fighter come in and help you, I think that is a lot cooler than some of the other gimmicks that they've done with recent Mortal Kombat games. And I think that there is a lot to really, really like with this game from what I've seen. Unfortunately, for me, was unplayable.
Are they suggesting that Johnny Cage played Indiana Jones just now, or that I'm looking
It
at
seems
here?
to be. That seems to be the suggestion.
That's
I didn't make
crazy.
it this far. I made it 2 fights into the story mode before I went, oh, this game doesn't run anymore.
That's a shame. The console versions are apparently super tight and clean, optimized
Not
there.
the Switch version.
No, not
We'll
so,
talk
yeah.
about that in a little bit. But yeah, if you're playing on a console that isn't the Nintendo Switch, seems to be going well. Seems to be mostly a PC related issue.
Yeah, I hope they fix that soon because I was really excited about this one too. I want to play this fall or these holidays. It'd probably be a thing I pick up when people are all
Yeah,
over hanging out.
I might buy it again at some point. I'm not opposed to it. And I also don't blame, the
Blame the
esports
Twitch.
scene is a console scene. Like I understand they're gonna focus on where their bread is buttered, and that's consoles. But PC version, that's not an acceptable thing for me. So it is gone.
Hearing such good things about the actual fighting is like smoother, cleaner, better. It makes 11 seem slow and stiff, which is a big deal to say that because 11 was pretty good.
11 was pretty good, but the UI was pretty yellow, like just solid yellow. And then, like, I think this looks cleaner.
Yeah,
And
that UI
know,
it was like what's his name? Can't think of his name. Skull. Get over here. Why can't I think of his name?
Scorpion.
Scorpion. Jeez, it felt like it was Scorpion
Yeah.
themed that game.
I think it would have benefited from just some UI options. Maybe that existed in the game. I don't even think to look till just a second, but like I found the UI just a little like uninteresting. Not that the UI makes or breaks a fighting game, but like the UI and the I don't know. I liked it. I just played the campaign. The UI I think was the only thing I didn't like. But
Yeah.
sorry to hear it didn't work great. Maybe after a bit of patches and driver
Yeah.
updates.
Yeah, that would be great because I was looking forward to this one like a lot. I really liked the past two,
What's
and
the
was
minimum
very excited for
requirements?
this.
Is this it pushes 1080 Ti?
I mean, I need it. Like it should run.
Yeah, you should be
Well,
fine.
that's recommended. Minimum is GTX 980. So
I'm well above that. So
yeah,
there's,
you're above
there's
the
really
Switch
no
standard.
excuse.
If a Switch can run it, you should be able to run it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm running Cyberpunk not on max, but I'm at pretty good settings, and it looks great.
Yeah.
And it runs great. So
Yeah.
It
you
just
know, if you
needs sounds
can't
like some
look better
optimization.
than Cyberpunk, then
I forgot that was even coming out this week. That man, what a weird year. Yeah, PS5 is an option for John, but he likes
yeah.
his
So is
PC.
Xbox. I have a Series X. I have a PS5. I just prefer to play video games on my PC. So
Yeah.
if you want me to play your game, it's probably gonna be on the PC. I don't typically buy stuff for the Xbox or the PlayStation 5 unless I have to.
Yep.
Maybe I have to for this, but it's been a great year for gaming. I don't have to buy any video games.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. That's the
Yeah,
challenge.
It
You
feels
wanna-
different for sure.
Yeah, it's hitting different this year. All right, great. That sounds awesome, John. Let's do a Frog Wrestling update. What's going on in there?
Yeah, Frog Wrestling did that last week. Bo was there for most,
I'm
if not all
pretty
of it.
unhappy with how Frog Wrestling has been going.
Frog Wrestling didn't go great for Bo. There is a perceived curse, I will say, because a lot of times wrestlers who do participate join in the stream. Monica has a habit of showing up to watch. Ben is usually in there. Bo showed up. But there is this weird tendency that when you are participating, if you show up in chat, you tend to lose. And Bo lost, and
God,
he
serves
had
me right
to-
for showing up. I guess I won't come next time.
he had to suffer the indignity of not only losing, but he was wrestling Garrett, and Garrett used a move thief
that really
ability. And so Bo got the taint no thing, his favorite move, applied to himself.
Yeah, I had to eat Garrett's taint sweat. I'm supposed to be the one feeding taint sweat.
Gross.
It's not fair.
It's not fair at all.
So it was unfortunate that Bo had to see that. I was hoping he'd be joining to see his continued rise to glory. He's hit a couple stumbling blocks. Brian Ibbett, strong opponent. Garrett, another strong opponent. There's a couple hurdles here in his quest for revenge, but he's done okay.
Yeah.
Next week though, spoilers, it's gonna happen, so might as well say it.
Okay.
We're gonna let Scott come back from his injuries and defend his title as Bo looks for his final level of revenge in a title shot.
Do I even deserve it after losing twice? It's gonna
Not
suck.
really, but everybody wants to see it, and at
Yeah.
a certain point, you do have to give people what they
Oh my
want.
God.
So,
God, we're finally going one-on-one.
Oh my gosh, Bo.
yep,
We're gonna
It's
die.
a moment I've always dreamed of.
Yep. We're gonna die.
It-
And it's fine.
it's gonna be good. And we also
You're
determined
like
who was.
undefeated. Has Scott ever lost like once?
He's lost matches. He's never lost the title.
No
When
title
it
loss,
comes
yeah.
down to a title match, Scott has always successfully defended it, but he has been beaten before.
Yeah.
Apparently, I like to hang out on the outside of the ring. You were saying.
Yeah, it's happened a lot of times. You've done it to your opponents, and opponents have done it to you, which is they get you outside of the ring, which starts a count out. You can only be out of the ring for a count of 10. And they let the count get up to like 7 or 8, and then they hit you really hard and they dive back in the ring and you get counted out while you're knocked out outside of the ring. And people hate it when a match ends that way. That
Yeah.
is a very upsetting ending.
Well,
to
they got a good
matches.
match for me this week because I got counted down normally by Garrett in like 2.5 seconds.
It was
Man.
very short. It was a very short match.
Tell me about this
He
decision to
soundly
give.
defeated me.
Tell me about this decision to give Dunaway. He's got Wario colors going on.
Well, yeah, when he joined Core, he became a bad guy. So
Okay.
he originally his outfit was based on Super Mario, and when he
Oh,
joined Core, he became a bad guy. So we recolored his clothes to match Wario.
I see.
So now that he's on Core, he's a Wario man.
Wow.
Well,
Well,
if I win, do I turn core good?
No, because you're not in Core anymore. I mean, you
No.
could you could
If
decide
I
like
beat Scott, then I could also beat him at leadership in core, throw him out, and he can go on his vagabond arc.
my
yeah,
my
I
merry
mean that
way.
would be a cool arc. You beat Scott, you become the champ, and you're like, look at me, I'm the captain of Core now.
Yeah.
And Dunaway and me will fall in line. Now I also had a pretty embarrassing loss, so I understand how Bo feels.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
we're gonna
it
turn into
can be
good
pretty
guys. We're
tough.
gonna redeem core together, the three of us, without Scott.
Yeah.
We're
Forget
with
me.
Brian Dunaway,
Yeah.
and then Scott can go suck on his sour grapes outside for 4 or 5 matches until you bring another storyline together or something like
So
that.
let me ask you this: my status as someone who never loses the title, and everyone wants a gun for me, and all the fans are rooting against
Your
me.
jorts status.
Am I am I at the level of Hulk Hogan when he was just a bastard in the actual league he was playing in back before he quit wrestling, or am I the level of Hulk Hogan having sex with his best friend on camera? Like, what level am I?
No,
at hatred?
no, you're the fun people root against you level, not
Okay.
the like, not controversial.
Okay, I
Like
feel
people
better about
like that they root against
So
you.
All right.
where does
People want
making your
to root
teammate
against
wear
you.
wear Wario colors? Like, what is that? What is that
Yeah.
level of evil exactly?
that. What
Yeah.
level of hell did that originate from?
The meanest thing Scott has actually done in story is that I do tend to paint it as basically his mentality of running Core is you better go out there and win or I'll kick you out.
Yeah.
Like, so we've made him a bit of a taskmaster, but he is not
Mhm.
like,
Okay.
he hasn't done anything that evil. Lots of people cheat. I'll tell you, I haven't flipped it over, but the Mod Syndicate, Tom's faction,
Yeah.
they're the real cheater. They cheat in every match. They're winning. The reason Scott's injured is because they refused to end a match. They just kept hitting him with chairs.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
the mod syndicate has turned real evil. People root against them and they're supposed to cheer for them. So, there's a reckoning there. I think there is a road to core redemption, maybe. So
Wow.
we'll have to possibly pursue that. It
Is
continues to be fun.
Is it possible for the outcome of a match for the two wrestlers to realize they shouldn't fight each other and just be friends?
No, I wish.
Oh, that'd be
I
cool.
wish that there was
'Cause
so
that
much
happens,
variance
right?
on that.
Yeah.
It happens in wrestling where like they're fighting each other and maybe a third antagonist comes out and the two original fighters are like, we should be buddies. Let's beat this other guy up. Like Patrick Beja comes out and Scott and I are like, wait a second, why are we fighting each other? Let's fight Patrick. And we
would
that's
need
a wrestling
to.
thing, right?
Patrick is terrifying in this game. I will say,
true.
I didn't know I was doing it, but I made a real killer with Patrick. He was undefeated until last week, or I guess yesterday. He was undefeated until yesterday, and then even when he lost yesterday, he eliminated 2 people, and then he got eliminated with someone cheating. So someone
my.
cheated to get him out.
A mod syndicate guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's all in the mod syndicate, so I know who the cheaters are. In the podcast?
Tanner's in the mod syndicate. Ben
Okay,
is in the
Tanner.
mod syndicate.
Uh-huh.
Monica is in the mod syndicate,
Uh-huh.
and Tom Merritt leads the mod syndicate.
I knew it. Tom Merritt was a cheater. I
Yeah,
gotta go
Tom
mess with him
Merritt's
right now.
behind it all. He's the one. He's the one who
Hey, you
really
big
does
cheat,
it all.
Tom.
Yeah.
He oversees it all. Tom beat me this week. I called him out for revenge for Scott, and it didn't go well for me.
It didn't go the way your direction. I understand.
No, Tom Merritt's a threat.
Well, make sure you check it out. It's Craftless Rogue on Twitch for the live stuff and archived up on YouTube pretty quickly after at Craftless Rogue also.
Yeah.
Bo, you did the Portal 2 VR mod, and I can't wait to hear about it.
Yes, this was an unexpected weekend for me. I saw the tweet. I played it like 2 hours later. I'm like, I know what I'm doing immediately. I've been waiting to play Portal in VR since I first donned a VR headset.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, not that exciting. I've been excited about a lot of experiences. This turned out to be, well done mod. The controls work really well. It is a good experience.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to VR. Like you're showing footage of me setting through the air. It feels awesome. But
You're acclimated.
I've been on roller coasters and shit. Like it's still pretty like.
Yeah.
For me, this was like pretty tame. So I was like, enjoyed it. Portal 2 is a great game. Obviously laughing a lot over Wheatley being a dipshit and GLaDOS becoming a potato on your gun. I played through a lot of it.
Oh yeah, that's
it's great.
later. That's late in the game when you get to the potato stuff.
Yeah, like I made it pretty far. But the one thing about it is like, well, I've played it before, but also like I said, the move, because the kind of thing is like, what if I put 2 portals in and fall infinitely? The bad news is it doesn't work that great. So the actual game client, when you go through a portal, kind of resets your direction. Like you don't just fall through it facing any old way. When you go through a portal, it'll reset it so your boots are facing down. So it does that in
I
VR.
see.
So it doesn't produce the kind of trippy effect you think it would doing that kind of stuff. It just, and my brain was just like, oh, I get what's going on. It's not that magical, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
another pet peeve too is this game wants you to look at the floor and ceilings a lot, and my headset fell off a ton because my head is big, and the strap is, well, it stays on my head, looking left and right and kind of around. If I've got to look straight up, then it falls off my head half the time, or straight down, it slides off my head. I think probably just having long hair makes it slippy too, or something like that. But it's fun, and Portal 2. Everyone, you guys know the game. It's been out for a while. Not much new to say, other than it still holds up as a fun game. Actually, kind of inspiring game, just because it takes very simple mechanics and does something really interesting with them. Yeah.
Portal 2 is
cool stuff.
awesome. I need a new Portal game, man. 2011 was a long time ago. Let's get something
Yeah,
done.
like the one bad thing I would throw at Valve is like, yeah, I get that you don't want to put out trash all the time, like you want it to work on it, but you guys take a long ass time.
Really
guys.
long.
Like, somebody needs to like come on. It's not even just because to make sales. It's just because think about us and our sad lives, and it makes it less sad when a Portal or a Half-Life comes out, or whatever else you're gonna do.
Sure.
Well, we're gonna die soon. Like, we only have so long.
It can't just be
Like,
Dota
at
all
a
the
certain
time.
point, all the people that care about Half-Life 3 coming out are going to be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even. Yeah, it's not even about you guys making money, and it's okay if it's not that good. It's fine. Just like make some people happy for an afternoon.
Well, I said something earlier about Valve was smart to stay non-public, right? Stay private. But part of the reason they don't feel the pressure to constantly be putting out the games is that, or features on Steam or anything else.
Internally would be the only driver, and certainly money, keeping them afloat in money is not an issue.
No,
They don't. They make money off of everyone else's games.
yeah, they print
so,
money. They just
Yeah.
Well,
But,
that's still it looked fun from what I can see from your video.
It is fun. It is good. It's just the part that you're like, wow, can you imagine VR Portal and VR? It'd be insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in that category of game. You'd think it'd be that, but it isn't that. I mean, just based on what I've already sort of experienced. But it was still cool, and I'm glad I did it. I enjoyed it.
You've also drifted back to Farthest Frontier a little bit. Part of your little break from the
Yeah,
isometric.
part of my little break is I
thing.
just need a different genre. No,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really gravitate to the go to bed early genre because city management games can also keep you up kind of late. But there was an update where they added some stuff in, and I'm like, cool, let me check it out. And I played it. I just been playing that. I don't have much to say. I don't think there's stuff about the game I really like. I don't think the rating is really working out. I've played a long save, and it just gets to be tedious. You can turn that off, thankfully. The religion stuff, I think there's a lot of demand just to have spirituality in the game, and they weren't expecting it as part of their design plan, so they pivoted, add an acceptable system, in that you get blessings from finding relics in the ground, and then at your temple giving it, having the priest preach it. But it's really, it's okay. It's just okay. I don't think it adds a ton, but I think it's grateful that they added it. I get the impression it's not the biggest team in the world, although Banish was made by one person. But anyways, definitely for the amount of systems and polish on it, like it's still a good buy and fun.
Sure.
But I don't know. There's like, not that there's. I think like when I think about the genre, I think of stuff missing, and it's not necessarily that it's like, oh, it's bad that they didn't put it in, but like there's room for that. Like I kind of want like you want to add more things to the simulation, and I think what this game's doing is it's adding more buildings and things like that, sort of laterally. But I don't think it's adding much new, if that makes sense. I don't feel the same stresses and anxiety when I play this game as with Banished, and
Which means it's
like I
more of a
said-
game for me, but I totally get why people like that in Banished. I get it.
yeah, and I don't. The rating's just a little. What I hate about the rating is like they'll send 4 at you, then they'll send 6, then they'll send 8, then they'll send 12, and I murder all of them, and it just feels like they'd stop rating me after getting their ass handed to me. But as the game goes on and you spend 30 hours, let's say, on building a city and it becomes huge, they just send more. So now they're sending 80, and it just takes forever to kill them all. You know what I mean? It's just annoying. And they all move in a straight line. They don't have tactics. They just Pac-Man to whatever has money in it or
Yeah.
goods and
John-
steal it. Like, it's just not very interesting. I feel like that's a real blemish on the game. I would play with it off and have been now.
I probably would anyway. But John,
Yeah.
that sounds like what we do in Age of Empires. It's like keep it coming. You keep chipping away at my wall. I'll keep murdering your people. And
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a different experience when you've got 2 rows of walls with
The problem,
turrets everywhere behind it. You don't have to actually do anything except
the problem
watch and
with,
laugh.
with
Yeah.
turtling in this one is it's fairly resource intensive to pay and equip soldiers. You can.
yeah.
So let's say you make a wall. Well, then they don't send any of the enemies where you've invested money. The game AI just knows to pick the weakest path in and will always pick that. And as soon as you solve that, they'll just come from another direction. There's no rhyme or reason. There's not like there's a camp to the north, so I got to defend the north, and then the north is defended. Magically, all the raiders just come from the south. You put all your resources north to block the northern invasion. The last 3 invasions came from the north. You put a wall, you put archers, you got it defended. They'll never come from the north again. They'll come from the south constantly. You set up stuff in the south. Now they come from the west. You set up stuff in the west. Well, there's a little hole in the west, and they always filter into the same hole where there's nothing. Like, it's not very good. It's just like, let me get some satisfaction from like the defenses I've set up. At the least, like, just send them in to random directions. Don't make it so that they know the precise hole in your blockade every time. They're bandits,
Right.
In a medieval, non-educated world. They're not smart.
Yeah. Well, it's early
Anyways.
access. Maybe they'll refine that. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. But I guess I just got in a bit of a toadstool about. I mean, not a footstool, a soapbox. About
Soapbox.
it.
See, I do it. I'm not the only one. Hey, real quick, does the priest in the religious part do this? Because if they don't, forget it. Forget that.
No. There's like a bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh,
There's it's more of a bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
I love this guy.
Oh, I think there's a bit of a choir. I think it's more like
One of the most iconic game samples of all time. I love it. All right, well, that's Farthest Frontier.
Endless Dungeon coming out soon, though. I also do want to check that one.
Yeah, I do too. I'm looking forward to that. That's a
that might be a
one.
multiplayer good time game.
Yeah, that might be all right
Turns out
that
to be
way.
good.
I'm more and more convinced that the thing John put me onto, whose name I can never remember, the one by the Monster Train guys. Frick. Inkbound is going to be a thing we play. It's so good. Oh my gosh.
I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna have a bit more time. Maybe
And
we
that
can
weird
get a little
animal thing that just hit Game Pass today. Animal. I tagged you guys on Twitter X for this.
Oh, Party Animals.
Party
made
Animals.
by the Gang Beasts.
yeah,
devs, right?
yeah. We could play something real dumb with that. That'd be good.
I will play anything. Name the time.
I was like, I just want to play a multiplayer.
I miss
game, you guys.
multiplayer, and I'm gonna have a lot of time to negotiate free spots. So if we can find a lot, like maybe coffee and games at like 1 PM on a Monday or something, I don't
Hell
know,
yeah.
something like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Whatever
already.
works for the schedule, maybe we can figure something.
I'm
out.
in on this. I think that sounds awesome. Let's do it. We're planning, everybody. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back from this break, it will be a Dear Martha. Looking forward to that. We'll also talk about a few of the news items we missed and some of your feedback. All that and more if you'll just hang in there while we go pee and get drinks and things. Okay? So we'll be right back. There he is. Headphones on. I see it. Unmuting now. I hear him. Hi, Bo.
There is the ball.
I'm dying right now.
Why? Don't
I
die.
farted. It stinks.
Oh, wow.
he's
I
stinking
gotta sit here
himself
and-
out.
Gotta sit here and do the show, and I can barely concentrate. Oh my god.
Goodness me. All right. Well, keep huffing on that while I do this here. Hi, everybody. We're back. Just got some really crazy news, but I'm not gonna share it on the show.
You can share it if you want. I don't care. I'm not.
All right. Bo farted on his way back to the to his microphone, and he says it's really
Now I
bad.
gotta exist here. I'm dying of toxic sludge.
Yeah. What is it? It's all those pepperoni sticks, man. They're gonna get you this one day.
I didn't eat any pepperoni today. I had a what do they call it? Like a chunky crunch, like a KFC chicken burger today.
Yeah.
I had a chunky
crunch.
My brain blanked out for a minute, and I thought he was describing the fart, and I just was like, "What is Bo doing?" And then I realized we had moved on a little.
I want one of these. I want a
Yeah.
chunky crunch. That sounds yummy.
A chunky crunch. What is it? The
I don't know. I don't know what they call it. I don't do KFC very often. They have a thing called that. Maybe it is the name.
Well, there's a big crunch, but that's their standard one. It's like the special one they have.
But that's Canadian.
This
shit.
is a Canada KFC thing. There's no way KFC.
You don't have a
here
big crunch?
has a thing called the chunky crunch.
Yeah, something about that's funky, right?
No, chunky crunch isn't right, but it's like the crunchier version of the big crunch.
But I don't even think Big Crunch. Hold
Let's see. I'm looking at the KFC menu. Maybe. Hold on. Let's see if it pulls
on. Yeah,
up.
I'm trying Big Crunch as a general search, but
Menu item they have for us is we've closed all the stores in your location.
so KFC here, KFC menu. Okay, so they have on the one I'm looking at. Okay, this is for U.S. locations. Oh, it's really slow. All right, there we go. Sandwich wise, oh boy, they got. Oh, there we go. Spicy chicken sandwich combo, classic chicken sandwich combo, classic chicken sandwich plus nuggets, little chicken little combo, and then spicy chicken combo. They don't have a
What?
name like that. Big
I
Crunch.
don't know. It was like a big box chunky chicken,
Uh,
something like that.
I'm looking here.
Like a big box of chicken? Like
No,
that's
it was a sandwich. It was a sandwich,
Oh.
but it was a thicker sandwich than the Big Crunch.
Pot. No, that's
No, there's nothing, man.
yeah, not a thing in the U.S. one. I'll bet they have their own branding up there.
Let me see here. KFC famous chicken sandwich.
Chicken. Is that the one where the bread is chicken? Because over here they call that
No,
a
I
nightmare.
will send you a screenshot of what I'm looking at. Okay,
Okay,
we can
all
get
right.
to the bottom of this.
All right.
Yeah, we got to figure this out.
There we go.
Gosh dang it.
I don't want to.
So the top
Oh.
left square, the KFC famous chicken sandwich.
The famous chicken.
chicken.
Yeah, we don't have that. Dang it.
You see why I was having confused about the name. I assumed it would not use the same word twice in the name, but it's a chicken sandwich.
You also
No,
get a
we
little
just-
macaroni salad thing we don't do here. That looks
Man,
all right.
they still have good KFC there. I
Yeah.
bet KFC there is good.
I'll bet it
KFC here
is.
is garbage. It didn't used to be.
No,
Or
Well,
maybe
they had-
our standards were different. But
Yeah.
But people tell me that just generally speaking, because we're more of a socialist country in American terms, like we have higher standards on food quality.
Yeah.
Like that's actually a thing where it's like you'll look at a piece of beef and it'll say like AAA, but is it Canadian AAA or is it from the States? It's like from the States. Oh, that shit's full of hormones. Like don't
Yeah.
buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Buy the Canadian steak. I don't know if it's true. It's just the collective wisdom from up here. So
Sure. Well, the
don't
Colonel
trust your food.
would roll in his grave. No, he wouldn't. He'd probably be fine. Did you know the very first KFC restaurant was here in Salt Lake City in a little off, like a suburb called Midvale, and it's still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not.
really?
It wasn't in Kentucky. Everyone thinks it was Kentucky. It wasn't. It was right here.
It's like
It's crazy history here.
well, I guess is there
they
anything else like
lied
that?
to us?
Yeah, they're lying. It's always been a lie, John. Always.
Do
that-
other companies do this?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
it's
Well,
like-
it's normal. Like if you have French fries, but you bought it in Illinois, it's not a lie.
Illinois.
Illinois.
I like the
Oh my gosh,
pronunciation.
please capture that. I don't know what you'll use it for, but
Did I say Illinois?
if you
Yeah.
have French fries that you bought in Illinois,
Illinois.
It's not Illinois. What did I say wrong?
No, it's Illinois. You're right that it's Illinois, but you went Illinois. Like
it's just there was a weird emphasis. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
it was-
Illidan from Illinois.
Illidan from Illinois. Yeah, Illidan.
It
There
was
you go.
good. It was good.
All right. Well, it's that time of the show where we do a little Dear Martha, and today it's just a little quick review, as I understand it, John.
Yeah, the phoning it in. But
No worries. And this is well, I guess we'll find out what it's for. But
there's
this
no contest. There's nothing. It's not even that great of a review for Dear Martha, but I read this and I went, let's spread chaos by reading this upon the show.
is excellent. Let's do it now.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now my review for the hentai game Scarlet Maiden.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Martha, making positive reviews for hentai games recommends them to your friends, which ruins their Steam store page with hentai games.
Mm.
Yours in this life and the next, Smuppers.
This happened to me when I got that code for whoops, that didn't happen. I got that code for Lust from Beyond or what it was called.
Yeah.
And we talked about it on the show. And I ever since then, that's now because of that, I get every once in a while I get a thing on my store. And I
I
never
figured
bought it.
I would read that
Jeez.
so that people could take that information and do whatever they want.
Yeah,
with it.
whatever you want from it.
I'd like to point out that Scarlet Maiden is an overwhelmingly positive game.
Oh wow, look at that.
And so it's pixel art, but I kind of
oh my gosh, look what these
kind of
pixels
don't
are
want
doing.
to play it.
It's
like really hard-
Got to the hentai part.
Well, the part with the vampire in his coffin upright. What? I don't even know what to say about this.
But it has the ability to increase your powers, which is we love that in Metroidvanias. I assume this is a Metroidvania. This might actually be a good game that's also lewd as shit.
It's lewd as hell. Look at this lady. Oh my gosh, what is she doing to her? Okay, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, so you got to that part, right? Where
Yeah.
there's like milk.
Hello.
The part where the
Where
milk.
there's milk. Oh, I got to the vampire. I had to know what Scott was interested in.
The vampire is awesome. That
It looks like
vampire is-
Dead Cells, but if Dead Cells was full of naked ladies, basically.
Kind of, yeah. It's very. Oh, geez, even the gifts down in the listing are gnarly. Making positive reviews for hentai games, recommending them to your friends, which ruins their Steam store page for hentai games. This is a lot of fun. I really like the art style of the game, and it fits. People like it.
All right.
Good
Time
mechanics.
Time to make a Pornhub account to stream on.
What's the these?
Hey, guess what? Orc Massage, our
Yeah.
our favoritely discussed hentai game, is on the More from Critical Bliss. Who's Critical Bliss? Is that the developer or the publisher? It's the publisher.
Publisher, yeah.
So Critical Bliss is the publisher of this and Orc Massage. They get a
Fantastic.
lot of attention from the Dear Martha segment.
Yeah, they get all of their games are like this. They don't have any games that aren't porny. It looks like.
Critical Bliss, you're welcome. Hit up Scott. Make sure he tells you that there are 3 people on the show if you want to send out review copies of
That's
the
right.
game.
There are 3 people
happy
here.
Happy to
Ooh,
do reviews.
John, get a code for Flipwitch Forbidden Sex Hex.
Flipwitch.
Yeah, Flipwitch, baby. Man, the
Ah,
thing's
This
on
game's
Steam.
only $12, you guys.
I know. No, it's 9 here. It's cheap.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Well, someone needs to review it. It won't be me. All right. I don't like that vampire bit. Let's move on to stuff. What do we got? Oh, we got some more news here. Let's do this right here. Mortal Kombat 1 news. The Switch version looks real bad. They are promising fixes. Beyond, I don't know if they're going to fix some stuff. Some stuff is just because it's on a platform that can't run it the way it does on other stuff, so they have to have dumber looking faces and less animation in the storytelling and all of that. So I don't think you're going to get fixes on that, but you will get, I guess, a more consistent frame rate. They say we will be supporting it like we did with Mortal Kombat 11. Says Ed Boon. Anything we see that is not acceptable will absolutely be addressed. He says, yeah. So there's that.
People made a big deal out of this again, and not uncommon on the internet. I mean, the Switch, we are talking about the Switch 2 in less and less hushed tones. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's sort of that thing is out there making the rounds as far as developers. But it's not here yet. But I think it's kind of normal for last gen quality systems to be looking a little rough on their ports at this stage. But somebody did point out that they are still charging $70 for this.
Oh,
And at that point, I do kind of see the complaint. It's one of those things where I'm like, guys, the Switch isn't a graphic powerhouse. We all know it. This is just a fact. You didn't buy the Switch to play the top tier next gen games looking their best anyway. It's just going to happen. And then you say, oh, well, they are charging next gen prices for it. And I go, it kind of starts to be hard to excuse. I mean, traditionally, video game developers do not reduce the price unless the features change between versions. As long as there is feature parity, the price is going to be the same. But we can't look at that screenshot and go, well, that's equivalent to the experience somebody's having on a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the case. I didn't realize that was the big beef, as it was as much money as it is on anything else. That's nuts to me, especially from what I've seen. The videos are hilarious. People should find those. They're great. It's not even glitches. It's just their facial expressions are terrible. It just looks like a game from 10 years ago or more, maybe even 15, 20. What else? We got the Baldur's Gate 3 Mimi song.
Wait.
What I miss?
Scott,
What I
we are
miss?
not done talking about Mortal Kombat.
Oh, stunt casting and
there
shit.
would be
Yeah.
an uprising if we did not talk about the extraordinarily strange decision to cast Megan Fox as a voice in Mortal Kombat 1.
Do you have any clips? I haven't heard it yet.
I haven't either. Let's see if there is.
Let me hold up before you play
I'll
this.
look it
Because
up.
This is what
I'll
I
look it
did
up.
with my wife, and it paid dividends letting her listen to it. I want to know if it's the same for you. Okay, you guys know who Megan Fox is, right?
Yeah.
She was, Diablo 4 most recently, what she's known for. And think about how she would be as a voice in Mortal Kombat, and then let me tell you, it's worse than you think.
All right. So, I mean, my main memory of her is Transformers 1. That's all I really think of her as. I'm sure she's done other stuff. Oh, and she was married or was with Machine Gun Kelly, and that fell apart. And they were making out and basically having sex at events and stuff. That's all I know about her. All right. So now I'm going to play this. I've imagined what I want her to sound like. Here we go.
What you want her to sound like, where you think she's
what I think she
like.
sounds like. So here we go. Let's see what we get. This might be a little quiet.
Special thanks to WB Games for the free and early copy of Mortal Kombat.
Okay,
1.
thanks, gamers.
That doesn't sound like Megan Fox.
That's nothing like her.
Yeah, what happened to Megan? Jeez.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody who got a
Are
free
we of
video
the
game.
same blood?
Oh.
Mine is superior.
We have the same blood. Okay, wait, there's more. Is she gonna say words?
Is your Viternus barren too? We did not overfeed. Together we can bleed the realms, and neither Viternus will go hungry.
I don't like
It's
it.
It's not good.
I don't like it. It's her too. They did her likeness. She must have.
And I will say this.
mocap.
That is maybe one of the better clips that I have heard.
Really? Well, here I'll skip ahead and we'll hear another one.
You really need to find not the taunts. You need to find the story. bit.
Story
Let me see if I
moments?
can find something while you vote.
Yeah, because this feels like all taunts.
It's
I mean,
not
just
our
based on
fault
what
that
we heard
Sorry, go ahead, Bo.
now, that's real rough.
It's pretty rough already. Yeah, I don't like it. No, sir, I don't. Yeah, I forgot about this. This is controversial. I kind of blew it off because I was like, whatever. Mortal Kombat's all tongue in cheek anyway, and like big deal. And is she a major part of the story, or is she just a?
I don't know, Scott. I was only able to get 2 quests in
here-
before the game.
Here's
died for
something
me.
here's something I found. Maybe that you should check that one out.
Let's see what you got.
Just ignore the title. It's clickbaity as shit, but
Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go. Let's get a little play time out of it. We're waiting. We're loading. I don't know why. Okay, there we go.
If you need.
Serena's right. Because of Quan Chi's magic, my realm's people are no longer poisoned by sunlight. We've finally escaped the shadows.
Rest assured.
John, it's bad.
It's
like
ri-
voice actor right after it's high school and they're like, okay, Megan, it's your turn to read from the book.
Well,
And she's
this
like,
guy-
"We finally
'cause
escaped
this-
it, and then the next guy's like, we've finally been able to, and he was like, holy, it's like night and day between the two.
Yeah, that's not good. Here's-
Spells you
So-
will receive
Let's see what
will
else he
bring
says.
down Order Realm's government. When will we have
Quan Chi!
oh, wait, now she's just fighting. Okay, now she'll say something.
That blade's enchanted.
It's bad, dude.
Uh,
It's bad. I mean, I don't, whatever. Somebody out there really likes her work, but that sounded bad. Sounds bad to me.
It is jarring. And here's the crazy thing. So this was another news story that came out of this was Ed Boon has said that he pictured a Mortal Kombat game where every character was represented by a celebrity. Like that was his vision.
Wow.
Well, and it didn't obviously it didn't happen, but that was something that he was very into. And here's the crazy thing. So having now made fun of Megan Fox and said it's bad voice acting, and we saw a little bit of this last year. Ronda Rousey was especially atrocious in last year's game.
Yeah.
As was they got a guest, and he was like a esports guy or something like that, I think, to do a costume version of Sub-Zero. So he wasn't the main Sub-Zero.
Right.
But that was also very bad. But here's the crazy thing, and maybe I'm out on a limb with this. If it was all this, I think it might be okay. Like in a world where somebody's like, "What are you doing here, Melina?"
Yeah.
And then she isn't Melina, but like,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden someone comes in and goes, "Let me tell you, I've come here to do battle with you." Like that's jarring. Somebody's trying and somebody's not. Somebody's
Yeah.
just reading words.
Right.
In a world where they're all just reading words, then you actually have it feel campy. Because, like you said, Mortal Kombat is very tongue in cheek. It is very campy to a degree. But if they're going to take their story seriously and have serious performances from the actors playing these characters, then they all need to do it.
Yeah.
But here's what I propose. NetherRealm, sign me up. give me a job. Here it is. Do a DLC that is Johnny Cage decides to try his hand at directing, and he is going to make Mortal Kombat the movie. All your characters, make them stunt casted. Get Megan Fox. Get whoever you want to get to play the quote unquote characters, versions of the characters, and let it be cringy and bad and awful, and make fun of yourselves, because they're already very good at doing that. Like, they parody their own stuff all the time. And do Mortal Kombat the movie, as directed by Johnny Cage, as a paid story DLC that just tells a weird ass story that is just campy and atrocious and poorly voice acted, and it would be amazing.
But
it would be incredible.
Yeah, I would enjoy
Most
it.
stunt casting would probably be fine. Like, it's because I'm sorry to do this, but it's probably because it's Megan Fox and she doesn't.
It's just not
Oh
her
yeah,
thing.
I mean, their stunt
Like,
casting has been
probably-
Megan Fox and Ronda Rousey. Like,
Well, who was the
Yeah,
other?
but I mean, if they're gonna
only
do a
one
whole-
of those is actually an actress, but
Like, if
it's
you're gonna
like-
do a whole movie, like, you can't explicitly go out and say we're looking for, whatever A-listers mean. We're looking for bad A-listers,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
like, because then they're not in on the joke, and they'll probably figure it out.
You want Dancing
Right.
with the Stars type
So
celebrity.
you're probably gonna get somebody good in there, right? You're gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh man, let's get Bruce Willis. He's gonna suck or something. It's like Bruce Willis is pretty decent, or something.
Well,
like that.
and he
Yeah.
even said, I guess Ed Boon said he wanted Keanu Reeves as Kenshi. I think it's actually okay if some of it is actually, fine, but just don't make it part of the mixed in game. Like, it's
Yeah.
so jarring to suddenly hear that mixed in with people trying.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, Keanu Reeves is a good example of. I would not score him as the best, whatever you call mocap actor, voice actor. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you can even have hints that it's not his wheelhouse in Cyberpunk, and somehow it still rules.
Yeah. Somehow.
You
it's
know what I
great.
mean? Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
he pulled that off, because there's times where I'm like, this isn't the best VO work
Yeah.
I've ever heard, but like, I don't know what it is about Keanu. There's a little magic in there or something, or just
There is magic because I
Yeah.
love Johnny Silverhand. And I say that despite the fact that he is an atrocious asshole for the first at least 2/3 of that game.
Yeah.
But it's like people who train not to be seen, but just to be heard, like, definitely have a timbre and range to how they do their voices that, like, regular on-camera personalities just don't have.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have, but not quite as strong or practiced or
Yeah.
whatever.
There's some crossover, and you see it in animated films and stuff. But I don't know. This is a
Yeah,
weird
like
bit of
that
stunt
guy
casting.
who did Whoever Was Next is clearly a voice actor. He's like, I am the villain guy, and
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
have breaths in between
He-
the words I say. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like Tyler, if you're listening, we still think you guys are great. Okay.
We do.
I just
Even
wanna
though
make
I
that clear.
returned your video game,
Yeah.
I still like you guys. That's why I'm throwing this idea out.
Starfield's
And
fault.
I don't
Thank you for
know-
reloading those saves.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I swear they had Dave Bautista play a character in the story mode. There's a guy who sounds a lot like him, and he did do the commercial for Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Yeah, he
1.
did. He did. That commercial's been running all week. Maybe
If
they
only we
didn't.
could look that up.
They probably.
He's great,
They'd have to credit
but he's
him.
also a great actor. But he's great.
Let's
But
look.
can we look that up?
Yeah,
Like,
we can look that up.
Okay,
Let's
let's
see.
see.
MK1.
I don't know if that guy goes on to be anything in the story, so maybe it's obvious. But I swear that there was. I swear I heard Batista in there.
He's in the trailer, but he must have voiced something.
Okay, here you go. Susan Eisenberg, Steve Blum. These are some big actors in voice acting. Jameson Price, Phil Lamar. It's what's his name? From Hermes from Futurama. Also, he got his head shot off in the back of the car in Pulp Fiction. Anyway, Jacob Craner, Andrew Bowen, Jean-Claude Van Damme plays Johnny Cage. I didn't
He
know
plays the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin of Johnny Cage before anybody goes. He
Oh.
did great.
that. Okay, fair, fair enough.
Before anyone gives him a compliment, quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan Fox. See, J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man. Hello? What? Hello?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, they got him. John Cena is in as Peacemaker.
He's
we know
Peacemaker.
He's coming in the DLC.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see
him.
I don't see
Maybe it wasn't
Batista.
him, but it did sound a lot like him.
Baraka is Steve Blum. Steve Blum's in everything. Okay.
Yeah, I love Steve Blum so
Yeah, he's
much,
great.
though.
That guy's
Like, it's fine that he's in everything. He's got a great voice, but yeah, he is literally in everything.
Oh, J.K. Simmons, Omni-Man, of course. He's that in the cartoon, so why wouldn't he be? That makes sense. Homelander doesn't say whether or not dude does him or not, the guy that plays him.
I really want it to
Aaron
be him.
Starr?
Pay him
Aaron-
what he
Anthony
needs.
Starr?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
they
Pay
better
Anthony
get-
Starr what he deserves and put him in.
Yeah, I'll bet he's in there.
Oh shit! Isn't College Boys out?
Oh,
That doesn't sound right.
uh,
What is it called?
V
School or something?
V Wars or
College
something school. What is it? What do they
It's the
call?
college? I can't remember the V school, University V.
What's the boys spinoff? This is so dumb. I can't remember this. I just saw a trailer.
It's called College Boys.
College Boys. Oh,
College
Gen V.
Boys.
It's Gen V is what it's called.
Oh, Gen V. There we go.
Yeah, V's the thing.
I need more
Let's see.
boys in my life.
Spin
The
off.
boys in my life.
The Boys comic arc called "We Gotta Go Now" by Garth Ennis is the source for this. I didn't realize there was a source for this. I thought it was just a made up thing. See, the series set concurrently with fourth season of The Boys, expected to premiere on Amazon Prime September 29th, 2023.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. Ooh, young adult superheroes, or soups, are tested in battle royale challenges at the Godolkin University School of Crime Fighting, run by Vought International.
Yeah.
That's
I
exciting.
mean, I'd rather have the third season, but I'll take this one. And apparently, Clancy Brown is in 4 of the episodes. So
Yeah.
there you go.
John Ritter,
I
or sorry,
like Clancy Brown.
He's
Jason-
playing a professor.
Jason Ritter's in it. Patrick Schwarzenegger, one of Schwarzenegger's kids, is in it.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, like you said. Yeah, that looks like fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited for that one.
I love that show. I don't love how many people don't fundamentally understand what that show is making fun of, though.
Oh, when the satire flies over.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Don't-
was a big movement I think it was the last season or maybe the season before, of people that were like, why are they making Homelander the villain?
Yeah, it's like,
It's painful to find out, man.
are you here? Are you been watching? Are you at all paying attention? It's like Rick and Morty fans like that. I can't stand that part of the fandom. I like Rick and Morty, but I get why Rick is a dick. He's terrible. You're supposed to worship
Exactly.
Rick.
He's not someone to emulate at all.
At all.
It's not a role model. It's just meant to be funny because of how
Yeah,
messed up it is. It's that dark humor. But
yeah. Don't build your life around it and wear Andrew Tate heads their hats or whatever the hell you're doing.
I like where it's like a pinball just descending deeper into the shit of the internet. It's like Rick and Morty. Now we got Andrew Tate.
I got a
Yeah,
nephew who's all wrapped up in that Tate stuff, and so it pisses
Well, did
me
you
off.
see the Sneeko video going around this week? It's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah, it's
You
pretty
saw
bad.
that? And it's like, transgender suck. We hate women. Yeah, buddy. Woo! And it's just like it's so
Sneeko.
monstrous. Like it's disgusting. and
Freaking
it's not funny.
Sneeko. I saw a picture of Sneeko boxing, and he needs to work on leg day because my gosh,
Oh,
you
the
got
the guy's a joke. I mean,
two
but
little noodles hanging out on the
it's-
shorts.
the very definition of doubling down into idiocy.
It's pretty bad.
I didn't know who he was until he did that whole the gun comparison thing with Moist Critical. Oh, that we talked about Moist Critical last week, and you didn't know who he was.
I still really don't.
He's coming up a lot. It's 2 episodes in a row.
He's a top YouTuber. The reason why I came across him was because I unfortunately know who Sneeko is for whatever reason. And there was some argument. And someone's like, "Send me your clips." So he on stream, Sneeko produces his gun and says, "I got clips for you, buddy," like gun clips. And this you haven't seen. You should search this out because this is what we're seeing. Response
No.
video. Moist
Let
Critical
Scott
pulls
be
out like
innocent.
an 8. Moist Critical like pulls out an AR-13. He's like, "It's not clips, it's mags, you moron." He has this like Desert Eagle giant gun. And it's just like you haven't seen this posturing between two YouTubers like
Nope.
brandishing their guns on YouTube.
Nope.
Yeah, that it's worth a watch because the villain gets upstaged in the right way. But if you just want to keep yourself clear of all that, maybe just do that too.
Yeah, these guys. I don't
Pretty
know
rough.
about
But
these
no,
guys.
but the important thing to know is Charlie Moist Critical is from Florida, so he's a Florida man, So
there he is.
Don't go waving your gun at a Florida man. You won't like what happens.
Charles Christopher
Even
White.
I know that, and I live in Canada.
Yeah. Not just Florida, Tampa, Florida. Just kidding, Tampa. You guys are fine. Go Buccaneers.
Anyway, sorry, it's a tangent and
That's a rabbit hole. We got to pull ourselves out of it.
We're out of this rabbit hole now. Now we're going to talk about a tabletop RPG based on Final Fantasy XIV. I'm guessing John has lost his mind and will never come back to reality. You're pretty stoked, right?
I'm pretty excited about this. Yeah, this is fantastic news.
What about it excites you? Do you think that it will translate well? Like, where do you think it's going to be strong? Because story is really the strength of that game. By your account and everyone else I talked to, that's what they love the most: character and story. Do you think that translates well to desktop or tabletop, rather?
I mean, I think when you have a established universe that's got a lot of characters, a lot of nuance, a lot of understood quantities, like you create a play space where everybody wants to kind of, play in that sandbox. And with Final Fantasy XIV, like the main story quest is very big. You're a very big part of it. It's not like World of Warcraft, where it's very easy to feel like you are a cog in a machine and like other people always do the important thing, right? Like, yeah, we all raided and killed Onyxia, but officially Varian did that. And yeah, we all did this, but it was Thrall that did this. Like that's kind of how WoW lore works. So it's kind of easy for everybody to have their own headcanon. Final Fantasy XIV is much more focused narrative. Like you as the Warrior of Light have done the exact same things that everybody else has done as the Warrior of Light for the most part. And so I think it does allow people to sometimes feel like, well, I would want to explore what it would be like to be somebody else in this universe, not the quote unquote chosen one or whatever. And it's a universe, again, that's very well known. And it's with the way that the game is designed, there's plenty of room to say like, oh, we're going to explore something that wasn't in the game. We're going to explore something that happened in the past or something tied to this. And I think it's kind of leans into that role play mindset that a lot of players have that maybe isn't being scratched by just the main story quest by itself.
Interesting.
So to me, it's interesting. It's not going to be based on Dungeons and Dragon rules. It seems like based on the dice, the systems, just kind of what we can see of it. It looks like it's probably going to be their own rule set, but I think this is a very cool direction. I remember getting the EverQuest tabletop book back in the day. I never played a game of it, but I remember finding it very exciting at the premise of it. So kind of in the same boat with this, like very curious to see what this is and what this looks like.
I like how the box, it's just called TTRPG. Like it doesn't have, they didn't call it the Mines of Mystery or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like TTRPG. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. You're not wrong. It's
a little like weird. Like that's a very inaccessible acronym for someone who's not in the know. Maybe, I don't know.
That art is that is some serious Final Fantasy vibes on that art. I think I like that. That's pretty cool. Here, let's look at that in bigger. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's some sexy art. I actually like that stuff a lot. And it just feels classic. Like that could be on the box of a SNES game,
Yeah,
even
if
it's just a collector's item, it's probably a nice collector's item too.
That's cool
for the shelf too.
Me likey. Let's see. Dead Space co-creator Glenn Schofield leaves the studio he helped form to make Callisto Protocol. He was the guy from Dead Space who went over there to make this new studio to make Callisto Protocol, and then that game tanked. I assume is part of the reason he's not there anymore, but he's out. He's on to do other things, greener pastures. Their chief financial officer is also leaving, so I don't think that's going to be good for striking distance studios.
I guess they're still operating, so maybe they've got another shot in them at making some money. The article made it sound like they might have lost money on Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That thing launched broken, and I don't think you get a second chance with. If that thing would have been mind blowing, they would be riding high. But
I feel a little bad about this one. I mean, me not purchasing the game wouldn't have made a difference to the goals I think they had, but definitely all the press about their janky frame rate probably killed them on this. I think because I think I'm assuming Dead Space did okay. I hope it did. I hope
It
we're
did.
getting
It did
another
really
one. I
well.
haven't-
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I think it was by and large very successful.
It just seems like another game in that genre. As a fan of Dead Space, I don't. There was something a little off-putting about. It might even just be the fact that it's called Callisto Protocol. I get hung up on bad names, even though it's not that bad of a name. But it's. I think of salsa dancing when I hear the name. Like, you know,
I don't think horror on a space prison colony.
when I hear
sure.
Dead Space, I'm like, yeah, zombies, space, killing, no oxygen, awesome. And I hear Callisto Protocol, and I'm like, are these shoes right for this game? Like, am I wearing the right shoes, the right pants? Like,
That's funny because I'm not a big believer that game names absolutely make the game, but I agree with you that if your game's going to end up being not great, you're not doing any favors by naming your stuff weird names or names that don't really have good alliteration or don't at least say something about you. Like if you gave me that name and I didn't know what that game was, I'd have no idea what that name meant. It would mean nothing
think it
to me.
matters. I mean, think of all the Legend of Chaos on Steam and how we made fun of it and someone made a site, right? Just how generic it sounds. It doesn't, like, as a novelty thing, you want to feel proud when you tell people, I played this game and enjoyed it. It needs to sound cool. Like when I say, I played Yakuza like a dragon. It's like, oh shit, are you a dragon? It's like, actually no. But while I got you hooked with the title, you know, blah blah blah.
Right,
Yeah.
But if I'm like, I played grocery wheels, you're like, I don't think I want to hear any more. Actually, you know, like,
Wait a minute. I kind of do want to hear more about grocery wheels.
yeah, it's a chorecore game, Scott. You'd love it.
Yeah. What is that?
Grocery wheels, check it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, a good title, you know, it's not going to make or break a game, but I feel like it helps push things in one of the directions depending on where you go with it. I don't think the Callisto Protocol is a good name. I'm sorry.
Well, they left the other dude in charge who worked on Dead Space 2 and Gex, and man, this guy goes way back. Legacy of Kain, Medal of Honor. He knows this stuff, so it'll probably be all right. They laid 30 people off back in August, so that sucks. But I don't think that game did well.
Well, they lay people off when games do well too. So
It was a bunch of things. Like the game had the hype, it had the potential, but you know, coming out broken. Their apology tour for it, because you know everybody's got to have one, was not very good. If you remember, the first thing they said out of the gate was, "Oops, we just uploaded an earlier version of the game," which made you think like, "Oh, well, that'll be easy to fix because you just upload the current version of the game." And then they're like, months start to go by, and you're like, "Did you lie?"
Yeah.
Because it feels like this would be an easy fix based on what you said the problem was.
Yeah.
And the game still wasn't good. And then finally, when they did get it working, you know, it just wasn't the best game on top of it.
Jeff Keighley gave them a lot of support. Like, it wasn't also just like a side game that you saw. It was like Jeff Keighley came out and he's like, let's talk about Callisto Protocol, everyone. Here's Glenn. Like, there was a lot of
hay made about it for sure.
Yeah. So you'd think with that much hay from the stone, you'd think they'd
make a mountain
play
out
the
of it.
game
Yeah.
and go, we can't launch this. It's going to be a huge embarrassment. Like, a lot of attention is on. I think they might have kind of messed up.
Yeah, it feels
launching
like it.
early or something. Whatever. I don't know technically what went wrong or how you make a mistake like that, but
It's a weird feeling. It's a kind of game where if somebody gave me a free code like right now, I still don't think I'd play it. Like I'd be like,
oh man, yeah,
I'm just not in the mood. It's like
do I still own it? I don't remember.
did
I mean,
you buy
I buy
it?
games and not play them too. I played 27 minutes of Persona 5. I'm probably not going to touch it for 6 months. So,
I'm gonna beat it before
it's
you
not,
play it.
it's not as offensive as it sounds. It's fine.
Right.
I still own it.
Really? You should check
I
it
do.
out, John. Get in there.
I do still own it.
Give that a look. See what's up.
You check that out, and we'll be thankful.
Fill us in on the magic that happens.
Well, I guess here's one thing. I mean, the game came out in December of 2022, and it didn't start getting. It got a couple like emergency patches that you think like, oh well, surely this will be what fixes it, on December 6th and December 15th, and I think I played after that and it still wasn't running great. Or I think I had found a way to get it to run great, but I'm like, I had to turn things down that I should not have had to turn down. And they didn't patch it again until February.
Oh my.
And that's kind of
Wow.
what I'm talking about, where like if your game isn't working right,
Yeah.
that's a long time to go without an update.
Agreed. Hard agree. Also in the news, Bluey, the video game, launches on November 27th or 17th. I'm very excited about this. I showed this to a 4-year-old today who is currently addicted to Bluey, all things Bluey, and he lost his mind. I'm so excited for this game. It's going to be multiplayer, which means up to 3, I think maybe 4 people can play at once. And it looks like a delightful little adventure thing for kids. And maybe adults.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
I hope it gets my son into Bluey. Like
Yeah.
I want him to be into the things he's gonna be in, but every now and then something new gets the interest, and just times where I feel like we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Bluey's one of the greatest things ever. Any kid who gets hooked on Bluey is better off for being hooked on Bluey. I can promise you that.
Yes, I like that is a show that if Bluey is on, Dad is as invested as the kid is.
Maybe even
But
more.
That
in
is
my
not
case.
what he picks.
No.
He has a tendency to pick some very weird things. I regret the day that I let my son see YouTube because he really likes to pick things from YouTube.
Yeah. I get that. It's a weird time to raise kids. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I had my,
There are
my
a
kids
lot
were
of
young then,
videos that are just people in bright, colorful tractors in Farming Simulator, just driving tractors around.
but yeah.
And that is real good for him. And hey, you know what? He gets to practice his colors. So as a dad, that's fine. He went from very confidently saying the wrong thing for colors, where he would just point at something that was blue and he'd just go, red. You're like, well, I'm glad you're very confident about this, but no, not correct.
Not red.
Not right. And now he's got his colors down pretty good. Although he does like to combine colors together, so he'll look at something that's green and he'll go blue green,
Oh.
and you're like, it's just green.
Mm,
He's like, okay, green, and then you see something else. He's like red, orange. You're like,
nice.
just pick one, man. But he's coming along. So if we can get into Bluey and that leads to the show, that would be maybe a little more welcome than lots of Farming Simulator videos.
I made a 10-month-old say shit the other day. Let me
Oh,
tell you how
yeah?
that went. I was carrying her through the house, and my dog, or one of our dogs, Ripley, she has giant bones that she chews on. They're supposed to be indestructible. And when
Okay.
she chews them, she makes them really sharp around the edges of the thing. And I'm barefooting it, and I stepped on one of these bones, and I went, shit. She's only 10 months old, but she immediately goes, shit, like right back to me. So I called Taylor. I said, it's happened. She's repeating my swear word. And she said, it's okay, Dad. I already have done worse in front of her. So, so that's how that went. What else?
She was honest and told you. That's good.
Yeah, that's that's how we work around here. Sea of Thieves is adding private servers. That's exciting for people that are into that, I think. Run your own deal, have your own settings, tweak a few things. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. It's a small little thing, but I was really excited personally. Just
yeah, I
'cause
think that's great. I need to get.
sometimes you want to play without getting your ship sunken by some asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be. This is. I mean, you have to pay for these servers. What's the deal?
I
know?
don't know any of the details.
It's just
great.
a headline. Scott, don't ask for more.
Yeah, I don't want more than that.
That's great.
Uh,
Core. It was not gaming journalism. It's more gaming talkerism. So.
Let's see. Oh, they did say reduced risk means reduced rewards. So if you do this, you get less stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a real pain in the ass when you're carrying a whole bunch. Like, it's part of the fun, but there are times when I just want to do in-game content.
You want to deal with friendly pirates, not
That's right.
griefy pirates.
That's right. No
Yeah.
one needs a greasy pirate. That's what I always say. Let's move on to this final story. Bo, you put this in. There's some kind of Baldur's Gate meme song by a guy named
It was
Tom
just
Cardy.
a meme song, but because it's just a guy doing a meme thing, I don't think there's any copyright issues there.
Let's just
And
play it. Let's see what we
It's
got.
just because it was Baldur's Gate 3, I thought it'd be fun to play.
All right,
We'll
I'm
give a
gonna-
slight language warning, but this
Oh,
is a
shit.
fantastic song.
it's a little sweary, is it? Okay. Well, let me turn up
It
the
is
volume.
very good, though.
Here we go. I'm hitting play. It's not very long either. Here we go. Maybe.
On the horizon of this forest path, you see a group of dark, cloaked figures slowly trudging towards you. What do?
My half-orc barbarian braces her great hammer, and that's a 1.
Critical fail. Steve, what do? Well, I believe in anticipation, my rogue would try and hide behind a tree. Okay, I rolled a 1. That's another critical fail. Tom, what does your human bard do? Active perception check. It's a natural 20. Let's fucking go.
I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. These motherfuckers mean to harm us, and they got to go, so come on, get them now. You picked the wrong day to fuck around with my tight crew. So let's give it in, I can perceive you. Here's what we're gonna do. Me and my boys gonna mess you up.
I rolled a 1.
Fuck, my boys are otherwise engaged, so I'm gonna bring it on myself.
Hey, I forgot. You're supposed to tell me what I see, right? Yes, thank you. Let's just slow it all down a bit. So you notice that one of the hooded figures is a little shorter. I cast Vicious Mockery. Nat 20, let's go.
You're a short motherfucker and nobody likes you. Short! Everybody says, how fucking short that guy is. And that stops you from forming meaningful relationships. When you were born, everybody thought that you were just a head. But then the doctor said, wait, this stupid motherfucker tiny short ass baby got a tiny little itty bitty body and I hate it.
Your attack lands and absolutely shatters the mind of the cloaked figure. Perception check, please. Nat 20, let's go. You perceive the figure was so short because it was a child. It's always a kid. Specifically the child you've been looking for the last 15 days game time and 5 days of our actual lives. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'll be better. Oh, fuck, his body's just lying there, right? Right? Yes. Don't.
Move that body now. Move that body. Loot that motherfucker. Play my flute when I loot that dead kid's body. Bitch.
I didn't I listened to it. It didn't register that there was so much swearing in this. I might not have recommended it. I'm sorry.
There's a ton of it. Well, we warned everyone, so.
Well, he's Australian. I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't mean yeah.
I love that song. I've listened to it 3 times.
Loot that body.
It's so good.
Loot that mother beating body.
It really slaps. It's very good.
There it is. Tom Cardy. That's who did it.
Yep. Credit where it's due. Twitter. I see it here on TikTok as well. Probably.
I just like that it goes places. At first, I was like, okay, it's a D&D thing. We're singing about D&D.
Yeah.
But the flute kind of got me. For some reason, got a flute.
He's a real life bard. That's the power of the real life bard.
That's also why I enjoyed it, because I played Bard, clearly the best class to play in Baldur's Gate 3, as demonstrated in this one. You get used to rolling 20s and high rolls all the time, but where it goes, where it's like we don't feel remorse over killing the child that we were looking for. We just want to loot that body, loot that body.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of Crofton, who loots everything before anyone else. Like, I have 165 frames per second. I can't have frames fast enough to catch him looting. The bodies are already empty.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So,
he's a loving father, too, and yet he will still loot that body. He doesn't care.
Yeah, loot that body good.
Let's get to some emails and talk about these.
That's a good question.
This is from, let's see, this is about core romancing games, and this is from Olden Guy Ken. Or Old Guy Ken, sorry. There's no
Olden. They were going to say Olden Ring.
Yeah,
Olden Guy.
He says, hey, Scott, John,
best
and Bo.
video game of last year, Olden Guy.
And by the way, I really respect people who spell John's name right and Bo's name right. I always like that. It means they've done their
homework.
Nice.
It is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mine's easy. The other two.
You can tell who's paying attention.
Yeah, because we do mention it here and there. Anyway, John with one N and no H, Bo with B-E-A-U. He says, with regards... yeah.
As opposed to all those other Johns that have just so many N's.
All the N's and no
There's
H's.
only one N in John's name.
Yeah.
Do you know I met a John that's J-H-O-N?
What?
What?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I know.
Is he from Mars?
J-H-O-N.
I think he was from the Philippines.
That looks like a comic book character name, John. Like,
yeah.
Like,
isn't that
I worked with him
Martian
at,
Manhunter?
Yeah,
Isn't
Martian
that how he
Manhunter. I don't know if he spells it that way, but yeah.
I worked with him at Gap. That's all I remember, and he was a John, J-H-O-N.
The one
I barely remember anything. It was 20 more years ago.
Didn't he call himself John something John? John.
Johns.
I don't know.
But, yeah, there's a guy, J-H-O-N, on Instagram. I just find.
It's kind of a cool name.
All right,
actually.
apparently it's pretty popular outside of the U.S., so that's why
sorry,
it's
old guy Ken.
Familiar for
Yeah,
us.
sorry, old guy Ken. You're not that old. With regards to the discussion about romancing in video games and kids, I got to tell you, last year my 6-year-old daughter ratted me out to my wife for buying flowers in a game for another character. Oh, man. Yep, this is hardcore. He says, this is forever known in our house as the Stardew Valley situation.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He says, also, 6-year-olds don't pull their weight in the dungeon, never catch any fish, and sell bundled items for hat money. We are trying Dave the Diver now. Apparently, most of the fish are too pretty to harpoon. Anyway, love the show, old guy Ken. This may be one of my favorite emails we ever got.
I love that email. It's so cute, so wholesome.
Yeah, I love it.
See, my wife and I, we like, she knows all the romance options, and she experiences it with me to a degree. When I was speaking to the actress who did the voice for Karlach, the performance for Karlach, she my wife was like, "You're talking to Karlach on Twitter?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." She's just like, oh my gosh, I love her so much. She didn't play the game. She just lived the game through me.
Yeah.
And she just was very into Karlach, especially because there are some things, there's some social awkwardness that Karlach possesses that my wife and I both have.
Yeah.
For example, usually, couples profess their love. That's where the relationship begins, with you professing your love to one another.
Yeah.
With us, we both professed our kind of like for each other, like, because it was too difficult. We're just exceptionally antisocial, so kind of like was a big commitment for us.
Are you guys always asking each other to take you to a crash?
A crash.
No, that's Lizzo.
Crash.
Well, you take me up to the
crash.
Take me to the crash.
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 But no, like she's usually a part of it, and usually gets very involved and invested as well.
That's great. Love that. By the way, talktothecore@gmail.com is where that email came to. And if this next thing's any indication, you might want to use texting as well. 801-471-0462, aka 10 hams. Here's the text from anonymous listener who says, my kid had to take, he actually put the 4 dots. So he says, my kid had to do a lake run today. We were too far from the dock to get back to the cabin, so we had to go in the lake. And
Nice.
we left that cove very quickly, says anonymous listener. So, Bo, we got a real world.
We got it. I'm creating monsters. Like, there's going to be massive lake pollution in 20 years, and they're going to trace it back to me encouraging people to shit in lakes.
For sure.
You gotta go. It's a little cleaner than. Look, I've taken shit in the woods too, right? Like, my dad and I went hunting.
Yeah.
And I'm like in my teens, maybe 13, 14. I'm like, Dad, I got a dump. Like, and we're 5 miles from any house.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you just go. And I'm like, what? I was like, just go.
Yeah.
Just go right behind that tree there. Take a shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what about, wiping? So I shit you not, he opened up a cigarette pack and took the foil out of the cigarette pack and handed me the piece of the foil. He's like, here you go. Because that's all we had. We were out hunting. He's like, you should have taken a shit before we went out hunting. And then, he's like, use some leaves if you have to, and gathered up some leaves and gave it to me. So, man, the cuts on my ass from that cigarette foil wiping my butt.
That sucks.
All right, sorry, YouTube, if that was too much for you there, buddy.
I can't wait for the comments about you doing that.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It was terrible, but I cleaned myself, and I was young enough to be. I guess this is okay. It wasn't a great cleaning. I had shitty underwear when I got home, but. Hunting, it's great. Parents, good stuff too.
I just think
I love that this episode started with Bo going, I sometimes don't know where the line is. And then we get a perfect example of him like walking around it, looking at it, maybe tentatively stepping over it, and then just like,
he's like,
loot that body.
Exactly. But the idea that you used foil from a cigarette pack.
Yeah, I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. Please don't raise your kids like that.
I don't know anyone who heard that story and went, That's a good thing. I gotta try that. That's,
Yeah.
that'll work.
You see why I like Trailer Park Boys. I'm like, I can relate to the show.
You live that life.
Well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Piss
yeah,
jugs, forget it. Bo wiped
It's
his
close
butt
to
with
home. You know, we like things that we can relate to. And for some of us, that's the content.
Someone in the chat said, Revan in the chat says, I thought we dodged a gross story this episode. Sadly not, he says.
I mean, I've got lots of them, dude, but it's a show about video games, not my personal life, you know?
Now that's what's gonna get the YouTube comment. Like, let me just be clear. That line right there, this is a show about video games, not my personal life, is gonna be what gets all the focus from here on out.
That should be the slogan for a show, you know, like companies have a good slogan or show has a good slogan. That'd be a good one.
We don't have a good one.
But,
I think it's core game, core is for core game or some shitty thing. We got to do a good one.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like the Twitter slogan. I think this is a
show
gaming
about
show.
video games, not our personal lives.
Yeah.
I like the
It's a
Twitter
real
one.
misrepresenting but good slogan.
I like
The
it.
Twitter one that says, I think this is a gaming show with Scott, John, and Bo. I think that's probably.
That's a fun that's kind of self-effacing and all that. Yeah. We can
And
do
I think
that.
it is a gaming show, you know?
Yeah, of course it is.
It's
But,
a lot of the time. For
Secondarily,
most of
it's about you and your
for
potty
most of
habits.
its 3.5 hour run. It is about video games.
Yeah,
But you know, that if you gotta go, you gotta go. Like, and when your kids gotta go, I think the safest thing. I think you did the right thing in not offering cigarette pack foil to your kid and sending him to the lake to take a shit.
Yeah.
Of the two, that's the superior option.
I agree. Let nature do it.
Unless it's near people swimming, like maybe just be polite. But if you're in the woods and there's no one to be seen, then you're good.
All
But
right.
I guess there was people around because you got out of there fast.
Yeah, you got out of there quick, so you didn't have to.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason they got out of there is because they didn't want to stay in the water. They're more like John. They don't want to hang around in that.
No.
You know.
I mean, just my family and shitting. We've got some stories. Did it ever tell you guys that my brother was trained to shit behind the shed a little bit
Oh my god.
as a kid?
I know. Behind the
My
shed.
my dad trained him like a dog to be like, if you're gonna. Well, he told him once, like he was like 3 or 4 years old. He's like, just go behind the shed. And then for years he was shitting behind the shed, my brother. And there's a big pile of it back here. We were trying to figure out how we did it, and we finally got my dad to admit that he told him once to go behind the shed. And
He crate trained or not? He potty
Right,
trained
like
the kid.
Train.
you tell a kid something once, and they remember it forever, and you forget about it, right? So, yeah, it's that kind of a thing.
What the frick, dude?
Because he was feeling too lazy to get him back in the house. Because you got to clean the kid off, you know, and then take him because he had dirt on him. He's like, just take a shit behind the shed, like whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Lee, real quick note, 3 notes. One to Lee Burns in the chat. Yes, I moved to YouTube for streaming back in April. It has been that long. So we missed you. Welcome. Second thing I was going to say is join our Discord because a lot of these discussion topics, including the weird ones, continue over there. We have a great community over there in the core group and tons of fun stuff going on in the forums over there. So go check it out. frogpants.com/Discord will get you in if you haven't already joined us over there. And then the third thing, next week we are recording Friday because John's got some dad stuff on Thursday. So one day later, okay?
Yeah.
1 day later, 5 p.m.
Dad
normal time.
stuff.
But don't stress that you didn't get a show that night or wonder what the heck happened to us on Friday. We are recording Friday night. All right? All right. That's going to do it for us, except for this notion here about patrons. I guess it's a thing I should mention because this week, holy shit, a bunch of you joined.
Whoa!
I know. I don't know what happened here. Patreon.com/core show was the place, and here's who joined us: Baz, Andrew Martinez, Rob, Chris Big Sandwich. Sorry, Chris Big Sandwich. I almost said
Is
Big.
that a real? Wait. You can't. I know you try to speed through this, but
I mean, look at
Is
it.
that
Big
real?
Sandwich says Big Sandwich. I can only believe that
It
Chris
does
is.
say big sandwich, but what's funny is like you messed it up a couple times.
I know.
And I liked every version of it.
Originally, Bigglesworth was trying to come out of my face, and I just couldn't let it.
Bigginswitch is what,
Bigginswitch.
is what
Well,
I heard.
it might look like Big Sandwich, but it might be like Swedish or something. It's a
Big
sandwich.
Yeah, Big sandwich.
Yep, that's how Swedish people
Could be.
talk.
Connery also joined us from the grave. The great Sean Connery. R. Darbs. That's cool. Josh
Yeah.
McCorkindale. That's real. We're not making fun. That's a rad name. Jason F. KP. That's like duty, right? Where you have to do the cleanup in the army or whatever. Bjorn.
KP sauce is the thing, right?
Bjorn Millard, something like that. Eric Graves and Hello, matey. These are all new people this week only, and man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Patreon. You'll get no commercials ever on the Patreon feed. You'll get pre-show content every week, including today, and monthly host specials. We just put one up where Bo and John went deep into spoiler territory and did a 2.5-hour show about Baldur's Gate 3.
In case you're curious why Core is long.
Yeah.
Every now and then we blame each other for it, but Bo and I recorded a show together, and it was almost as long as this show right here. So
That's right. And
You got a lot to get out, though.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I'm glad you guys did. It was a good venting, but also a great thing for patrons only. No one else is getting it but Patreon people. So if you join now, you get access to that and all the past episodes as well. We also send art in the mail. I could go on. Yes, go ahead. What?
I just need to say one thing from the show that you need to know.
What's that?
That there is a song in Act 3 that you need to not miss. So make sure you do the House of Hope quest. That's all I'll say. It's not
That's
really
a
big
song
spoiler.
I need to hear?
One of the best boss battle songs ever in video games, period, happens in Act 3.
Okay.
And we got to spoil and talk about it, but because you haven't made it that far, I don't know when we're going to say it, but I'm just going to say epic.
Okay.
Epic.
I'm
That's
in.
it.
I'm into
more,
the epicness.
that and more on the spoiler cast.
All right. Yeah, check it out. And like I said, all those are there for you, even if you join late. So join up. Be a part of the group. Be a part of this family. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support, and everyone who already has. You're the best. Patreon.com/Core Show is the place. If you're looking for all other links to that and everything else we do here on the show, you can find it all at frogpants.com/core. And now, Fast Grandma with her summation of the games we played this week.
It wasn't just Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 this week. The boys played something else, but they did play Starfield. So if you're wondering what the first game was they talked about, it was Starfield. But the new game you're going to get sick of them hearing them talk about is Cyberpunk 2077. Scott wants to play it. Bo might play it one day in virtual realities. John's playing it now.
Yeah.
Scott also played Doom 2016. It's typically just called Doom, but it is important to remember that because there's lots of games called Doom. He also played Persona 5 Royal. That's it?
Yeah.
What?
Royale, I believe, Grandma. It's Royale, I believe.
Then why'd you spell it Royal?
Well, it's
No,
spelled
it's
that
Royal.
way. Is it Royal? I assumed
Yeah.
it was supposed to be Royale. Really? Oh, jeez.
Royale has a
has
spelling.
Oh, yeah, it has
It
an
ends
E.
with
Royale
an
has an
E.
It normally has an E, but does Royal sound right? It sounds
Listen,
wrong.
son, I understand that you think you might know a thing or two, but I've been around since the war.
Oh, yeah, the war. Right.
Which one, Grandma? There's so many.
The civil.
John also played Mortal Kombat 1. Not for very long, but he played it, and he talked about it, and he played WWE 2K23. Presumably 24 is going to come out, and we're going to see some serious shit. Bo played Portal 2 VR mod, because of course he did.
Yeah.
And then he also played Farthest Frontier, which is not Starfield.
Yeah,
This
What?
is a further frontier. It's on the ground
that's right.
where we live.
And you can never say we don't tell you the name of the games we play. Okay? Because now she just did. Did you all hear that? We did it. No more complaining, all right? Unless you want to leave comments on YouTube, which we may read next week in the voice of Dear Martha. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on the show. Thank you all for listening. We hope to see you next week for more Core. Until then, bye.
Get more at frogpants.com.
It's where we'll settle our biz. You yours, me mine.
Oh, Keanu.